What's the time? 10 past. West Ham have suffered back-to-back defeats since the Premier League resumed. A 2-0 defeat against Wolves and another 2-0 defeat against Tottenham. Can the Hammers do any better tonight against Chelsea? Possibly the most informed team of all those three. Well, we're going to find out in the next couple of hours, and we look forward to having you with us throughout the evening. Joining me on Eyes Up Mother Brown tonight, I've got Bristol Hammer.
How you doing?
The Pink Palermo.
Evening all.
Rio.
Come on, you roaring goal scoring.
And Gnome.
Evening all.
And if he can get himself sorted, we might even have Chalks joining us a little bit later in the show. But anyway, before we get underway, with regards to West Ham and Chelsea, just a quick look at what's happened tonight. There were 3 other Premier League games. One that didn't really concern us was Everton and Leicester. Everton winning 2-1. But the 2 games that were really important as far as West Ham were concerned were Norwich, who got trounced, and also a big game between Bournemouth and Newcastle. Bournemouth 4-1, lost 4-1 at home to Newcastle. A crushing defeat, really, for the Cherries, and one that puts them below Aston Villa down into 19th in the table. It means that West Ham now have a reasonably comfortable goal difference of 5 over the Cherries and Villa. Whether or not we can avoid losing by 5 tonight remains to be seen. I'm not sure the team here are that confident, but we'll see how it goes as we get along. Before we do that, before we get into the game, I can see the players are just coming out. I'm going to pass you over to Gnome to take us through the team sheets and tell us where the big changes are. Gnome, over to you.
Yeah, evening. Well, for us, the big news is that Noble is out. He doesn't make the bench. I understand there's a late injury. And Ogbona's back. So that leaves us lining up with the following: Fabianski, Fredericks, Diop, Ogbonna, Cresswell, Rice, Souček, Bowen, Lanzini, Fornals, and Antonio. On the bench, we got Balbuena, Yarmolenko, Anderson, Wilshere, Ajeti, Costa Silva, Randolph, Lewis, and Johnson. The last 3 being well-known firm solicitors. For Chelsea, they line up thus, and I realise now why you've actually got me reading out the team names, because they're all hard to pronounce. We got Arrizabalaga, Azpilicueta, Christensen, Rudiger, Alonso, Barclay, Kante, Kovacic, Willian, Abraham, and Pulisic.
Excellent. And talk us through the changes there in West Ham's team, Gnome.
Yeah, well, Ogbona's in for, I think Balbuena played last, didn't he? So Ogbona's coming for him. That, I think, was always going to happen once he was fit.
Yep.
And the situation, I believe Noble would have played had he been fit, but clearly is not. So, yeah, we'll have Rice, Souček. Depends how they line up. Is any of those midfield players going to line up and actually get anywhere near Antonio and play almost as a striker? I doubt it, which would mean that effectively we'll have Rice, Souček, Bowen, Lanzini, and Fornals playing in some form or another in midfield. So it remains to be seen, as I say. So.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much for that. Just before we kick off, let's go to the panel and just see how confident everybody is about the game. Breeze, I'm going to start with you. We had your prediction, didn't we, in the Mod Pod? I think you went for a 4-0 defeat. Is that correct? Do you still stand by that?
I did. Yeah, I'll still stand by it. I mean, I haven't seen anything in us in the last few games to kind of suggest anything different. So, yeah. I'll take 4-0 again.
Okay, excellent. Pinky, over to you. You were also not particularly confident, I don't think, about tonight. 2-0, I think you went for. Would you take that right now, given what happened to Bournemouth?
No. I'd never take a defeat before kick-off. The harsh realistic assessment is we're likely to lose because the league table doesn't lie. But there's always a puncher's chance. And ultimately, you never really know, because you look down these team sheets, you say, well, maybe it's the bench that'll make the difference. But actually, in theory, we've got a couple of game changers in our bench, same as they have. Whether or not the manager chooses to use them is another matter. But I think certainly with Rice and Souček there, if they sit as a pair in front of a back four, that ought to stop the onslaught. But I fear that someone like Willian for them will run hard at our defence, and he might actually make a bit of a difference tonight for Chelsea. I think he could cause us some damage.
Okay, thank you. I guess it remains to be seen whether we do indeed have a puncher's chance or whether we're going to look punch drunk by the time 90 minutes is done. Rio, thoughts on tonight quickly before we start? We've got a chance here.
No. I just
in one.
Yeah, I can't really expand on that, but no, definitely not.
Okay, not looking good. Rio, what did you go for? You went for a 3-0 defeat, I think.
Defeat,
so.
yeah. If we keep the nil, I'd be amazed. I think we can.
Good stuff. Noam, you're the only one out of the 5 of us currently on stream who predicted we'd even score a goal tonight. I think, let alone win. 3-1. I think.
What was I thinking?
Exactly, absolute madness.
I'd had a lovely weekend, and well, maybe we will. I mean, even Bournemouth scored tonight, so yeah. We've got to score sometime, surely. So,
well, you'd think so.
Kicked off, by the way. Nothing much happening.
Okay, good stuff. Keep us informed because, as usual, my stream is looks about 20 to 30 seconds behind yours. There was talking about scoring goals. There was a very interesting stat that came up in the Bournemouth game before this one, and prior to Bournemouth scoring in virtually the last kick of the game, apparently they had one shot on target. I've just kicked off, by the way. They had one shot on target in the first 3 games since the resumption of Premier League activity. So I guess as bad as it's been for us, they're probably feeling it slightly worse, Briz.
Yeah, I mean, it's dreadful under Moyes, isn't it? But I mean, at least we're not conceding that many goals and not actually putting an effort in at the other end. At least we're getting some shots on target. Can't see many coming tonight, but yeah, we live in hope.
Great. Do you know what the stat is for us, by the way? How many shots we've had in the same?
I dare not look, but I think we had a couple in each game, so yeah. It's not particularly impressive, but better than Bournemouth. So no, I'm not sure that's much to be proud of. Pinky, whereabouts are you on your stream, my friend? Let's have a little roundup. Pinky, where are you at the moment?
131.
Noam, how about you?
Yeah, 135, 6, 7.
Rio?
Yeah, I'm with the boys. It's just
and you, Briz?
Yeah, I'm on the same.
Okay, so I'm 30 seconds behind all of you tonight. So anything happens, just jump in, shout very loudly so I can hear you, and we'll take it from there. Another empty stadium at the bowling, all very, very strange. I'm struggling to get used to this still, Pinky, this not having any fans there. It's a very, very odd experience, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, we can all argue about, well, there's never anyone there most weeks, but the reality is, I mean, for me, this is unusual because I'm actually watching West Ham United on TV, in a live game, and I'm just looking at when the pitch seems long but narrow, if you know what I mean. The camera angles, but it is a weird setup, and it'd be interesting to see which of these two teams responds to the sound of silence. And I have to say, I think young Frank Lampard has shown in a few games while this has been going on, he's not scared of making changes to stoke his team up. I'm not sure David Moyes will do the same. So I think, it's for Moyes to make the difference tonight. That's for sure. Absolutely.
David Moyes, talking about Moyes, just having a quick look at some of the comments he made prior to the game in his press conference yesterday. Moyes said that West Ham has fantastic history, but what we want is new history. And I want the chance to build new history, make new history, create something which gives us a feeling of hope for the future. The big thing first, though, is to win our next 4 or 5 games and make sure we are a Premier League club. If we can do that, then we can start building new history. And I want to be the guy that does it. Rio, next 4 or 5 games win in a row, bit optimistic perhaps?
I think whatever he's been drinking over this break affected him in more ways than one. As we speak, Chelsea broke down the left-hand side and just forced a corner.
I think Moyes has hired Donald Trump's speechwriter somewhere along the line in that, hasn't he?
I think he's also employed his hairdresser.
At least he's got one, Rio.
Well, oh, now that's low. That is getting.
I'm overdue a haircut. I've been 10 days without one. It's doing me head in.
Well, I guess the fact that we're sitting here talking about our lack of hair after 3.5 to 4 minutes gone is a good sign.
Well, Chelsea have just had possibly the first shot on target. We didn't really clear a corner, which came across. It was bounced about a bit, came out to level with a penalty spot. Alonso with a sort of weakish kind of overhead scissors kick that just bounced calmly into the arms of Fabianski. So, but it took a few bobbled clearances there. It didn't look good in the corner there.
Breeze,
Chelsea are again now.
It's all Chelsea. It's all Chelsea. Williams streaking down the left, sit back. Well cut out by Rice.
Well, yeah, that was superb. Lovely anticipation and moving forward now.
Okay, I was just going to come quickly to Briz there. Just talking about corners quickly. Briz, we don't seem to have learnt our lesson, do we? And you know, we just haven't really defended set pieces well at all season, have we?
No, and again, it's been very difficult because I think he's chopped and changed the defence about so much.
Yeah,
it's difficult to get any consistency in defending corners, isn't it? And kind of free kicks are the same. And also, we've got quite a small team. Apart from Diop, who I watched do a cross turn a minute ago, not realise where the ball was. But other than that, we've got quite a tiny team in comparison to a lot of the other teams in the Premiership.
It's the fact there's no Haller on the pitch.
Yeah.
His normal job at corner kicks defensive is to attack the ball, same as we used to use Carlton Cole for and what have you.
Yes.
And in the absence of that extra player as a ball attacker, we struggle like mad. I mean, you think maybe they designate a centre back to do it, but maybe that's too complicated. I don't know.
Rio, looks like we're lining up. Just taking a look at the shape of the team, looks like a 4-2-3-1 with Antonio up top on his own. Souček and Rice sitting deep in the midfield. Fornals and Lanzini out wide. Would you say that's about right? Sorry, Fornals and Bowen out wide and Lanzini sitting behind.
In the middle,
Yeah.
It's just trying to get Lanzini into the game. I know it's only 5 minutes in, 6 minutes in, but again, he's been pretty anonymous. He's not been in the greatest form as we've discussed in the other two games for almost 18 months now. And he's really going to be the key. If he can open up a little bit of that magic that he used to have and try and open up the Chelsea defence, he might have a chance here. But he's been pretty nondescript so far.
Is it a bit like with Lanzini? You know, when a team's doing badly, they sort of talk about, you know, we're gonna hammer someone soon. Is it the same with Lanzini that, you know, eventually it's going to come good, Pinky, and he's just going to have a wonderful game and win it single-handedly, perhaps?
No. I mean, in a word, I mean, for me, I think is sadly his best years are behind him. I think the injury did for him, and you know, barring a miracle, a Lazarus type comeback, that's a position we're going to need to upgrade in the summer. You know, it's gone for him, I'm afraid. Yeah,
we're one of many positions. It looks like we're gonna need to upgrade. No, 8 minutes down so far. Yeah, it's been all Chelsea as expected. Do you think Moyes will be happy with what he's seen so far, though?
Who can tell? Whether he's happy or not, there's the sort of same expressions there. It's basically as expected, whether or not, just as Chelsea passing amongst themselves, really, and we're just sitting back watching them. I'll be happy with the fact that we haven't conceded yet, but I mean, it's only 8 minutes and 11 seconds gone. So I guess the longer that goes on, the happier he'll be.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've just seen, I'm behind you, I've just seen Fredericks nuts in our own penalty area, which wasn't too enjoyable to see. Breeze, looks like Bowen's doing a lot of doubling up on the left side again, on the right side again with Fredericks.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Bowen. His work rate's phenomenal. I mean, out of all the team, he's the one who's put a shift in every game. I was watching to see whether Fornals would drop back into the left back slot like he did in the last game, but seems to be staying pretty high up the pitch. But Fredericks was just awful in that last attack from Chelsea.
Yeah, I think, Breeze, actually, it was you who pointed it out to us last week in the live Tottenham stream, that Fornals was doing some incredible work defensively. And there was one moment, Pinky, wasn't there, where he made an 80-yard burst from fullback to be our only available striker in the box a few seconds later.
Yeah, and I thought, reading the form and what have you after the game, I thought he received some unfair criticism. I actually thought he worked very hard in that particular game.
Yeah,
and was clearly playing to the manager's instructions. So that's one of those things where Moyes was probably trying something out. The player did as he was told, and sometimes supporters can't see it because they want a particular player to be doing something else.
sure.
But just on the Bowen front, I mean, where do we go with Fredericks? I'm sorry to reopen the debate with Ngakia actually gone, but no one is ever going to convince me that Fredericks is a fullback. Never in a million years. He's not for my money.
Yeah, we've certainly not seen an awful lot of him, have we, this season? Just quickly going to go to the forum to see what people. Okay, just to see what people are saying. Macca 1973 says we're waiting to concede playing like this. Soft Hammer says, "Is this it? Is this all you can conjure, Lampard?"
Just before you go, Graham,
Go on, buddy.
Williams just had a shot from inside the box. He cut inside and tried to curl one through. Thankfully, It was straight down Fabianski's throat. But danger signs are there again.
Okay, thank you. Just taking a look at that now. Yeah, I mean, Rice, I think, looks like he's charged with those defensive duties there. Just watching the ball come in, and I'm just about catching up with you now. So, yeah, I think to be fair, Souček did a fairly good job there, sticking fairly close and minimised the space for William. But it's, that's one thing, Rio, you don't want to see, is it? Players like William getting space in your penalty box like that.
No, exactly. I mean, William's for me an exceptional player, and they've got Pulisic on the other side as well, can do that. We can't invite it on. The more we invite it on, the more chance we're going to get an absolute hammering.
I'm smiling because I've just read a comment on the forum from Billy Dino, who's never known as one to pull his punches, and he's commented simply, "This is already disgusting." I can almost visualise him frothing at the mouth in fury at what he's seeing so far. But it's 0-0. I know we said this against Wolves.
Well, maybe he's just watching a different channel and he's going, "This is already disgusting."
Paddy O'Hammer says, if we can only hang on like this for another 80 minutes, we'll be fine. Crouch End Hammer says, we're not going to get anywhere playing like this. Dwight 1970 says, we're just waiting to concede and then game over. Pinky, I think it was you who said previously that, sorry, no, it wasn't. I think it was Gnome. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gnome, but you said if we concede a goal, then that's it. We've really got no chance of coming back.
I've almost certainly said it, but it's not particularly original thought, I think, under the circumstances. I won't claim authorship of that because it's simply so true. Well, what is it? 15 games we've gone 1-0 down this season now, and we haven't won any of them.
Yeah, it's absolutely dreadful state. Yes, I think you're right.
It's not. Hang on.
A collective groan from the crowd. Tell us what's going on there, team.
Well, I'll do this. We had Chelsea penned in a little bit, and ball was played to Antonio, sort of centre of the box. He managed to make some space for himself, but screwed the shot across the goal. Can't quite see who was following in at the end, but they were a bit
just missed it.
Get on the end of it. Yeah, Lanzini was too late to get on the end of it, but that's probably. I mean, if you discount. Antonio's on again, and but no, shot gets blocked.
Okay, Breeze, that was almost
been in that game in this game.
Yeah.
So just watching it back now.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, Breeze, that was almost Gazaresque from the Euro '96 semi-final, wasn't it? The way that ball came over agonisingly there, and he just missed it.
Yeah, I mean, if he'd been a bit taller, he might have stuck it in the back of the net. I've noticed that we, without the ball, we're dropping to a 4-4-1-1.
Yep.
So we've got some connection, but certainly going forward, we quickly transition into that kind of 4-3-3 kind of formation. And Antonio's dropping deep and letting Lanzini go beyond him, which I think has worked well because it's confusing the Chelsea centre backs.
Okay, interesting that choice there from Moyes. Hopefully that will pay dividends as the game goes on. Just a quick hello to everybody who's watching us on the live chat on YouTube. Feel free to drop your comments in. Let us know what you think of the game. Let us know what you think of the stream. I can see my son's already posted to say hello. So hello, boy. Good to see you in there. Quarter of an hour gone nearly. Rio, relatively pleased with what you've seen so far?
To be honest, no. I mean, they're much the better side. We've had that little 1 minute spell, which for the first time ever, we were trying to pen them in, as Briz said. No, we was actually hassling and harrying them. It worked.
Yep.
We're still giving away a bit far too much possession for me.
Pinky, does the fact that we are playing our wide men so deep give us more or less opportunity, should I say, to take the opportunities that we create in their half? Is that a little bit too defensive, or are you quite happy with what Moyes is doing there? Essentially, I think what I'm asking you is, should we be sitting so deep at this stage, or should we be going for it a little bit more than perhaps we are?
I actually don't think we've got a choice. I mean, without over-egging the comments on Fredericks, there's been 6 or 7 of forays down his flank already this evening. So he's absolutely pegged back, and he needs Bowen to drop deep to help him out. And ultimately, Chelsea are playing all the football. But having said that, we're tearing forward now. Fredericks pouring upfield. One pass, come on. Oh, no. Bowen's just held onto the ball a bit too long there for my money. So, if I had a worry here, is we'll run out of gas probably on the 70th minute, and Chelsea will slip in 2 or 3 goals. It's Chelsea look fitter, is what I'm trying to say here. Okay,
thank you. Noam, are you happiest with Souček and Rice in the centre of midfield there? Do you think it's going to work better without Noble tonight?
I mean, as has been said, Chelsea are moving the ball around quite a lot. Rice and Souček doing a good job of, when they can, biding their time and then getting the foot in to dangerous looking cross. It's gone all the way across. Is that Willian at the other end? So, well, we survived there. We've managed to get it clear. So we give the ball away again. Sorry, I can't remember what I was saying because there was an incident there. But Rice in particular is doing that thing where he's keeping an eye. Then when he sees the sort of the mini sort of chance to get the foot in and break up possession, he's doing that.
Yeah.
The problem with that is that you do invite them on, and you are relying on that mini lack of touch that you get from time to time, which at the moment is a rarity. The way the Chelsea are passing at the moment.
I think one thing that it's quite interesting. You mentioned that about Rice
again. Just an example point that Chelsea slightly misplaced pass which Souček read, but his ball then invited Chelsea straight back on. The cross coming across now, but we've cleared it as far as the edge of the box, but it still keeps coming back. And when we do get that foot in, we really do need to hold on to it better. I mean, I've said this in other games, so.
Yes, it's a familiar thing, especially in the last few games. It's interesting watching Rice there, because I'm just wondering if that's something that he's learnt from Trevor Brooking, because that was, as you know, that was Trevor Brooking's big thing, is that he was always looking around, so he was aware where to play the pass before he even got the ball, before it arrived. And you sort of watch Rice, and he's always darting around, having a look to see where everyone's positioned. So. Briz, I just wonder if that's something that perhaps he's picked up off Brooking.
I don't know, but he's really aware of the ball. When you're watching him, he's always moving into the right spaces. In anticipation, as you said earlier on. But I've been impressed with him and Souček tonight. I think he's sat deep. Souček's moved forward at times, They just had a bit of link play. Chelsea
Yeah.
attacking now, shot on goal, and Fabianski's caught it quite easily. I just find that at the moment Lanzini is way too far ahead away from Antonio, but certainly Rice and Souček have been brilliant in the centre at the moment.
Doing a fine job.
Just the thing on Rice as well. Just something I noticed a few seconds ago, where Chelsea had the ball and we were kind of regrouping, and we hadn't mentioned the fact he's got the armband this evening, and he was organising stuff. He was pushing people about, telling people where to go, and the sort of the proper captain role there, which was good to see.
Yeah, it's a big responsibility. I guess he's a similar age to Rio Coca was when he took the captaincy over. Just want to briefly touch there on Fabianski. Good hands from that Ross Barkley shot a minute or so ago. I have.
Should have buried it. Should have
Pinky,
buried
over to you.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea have worked the ball. Firstly, they set it wide, a lovely crossfield pass, collected by the right back. Just simple pass, delivered straight into the middle. Bit of a dummy, someone left it. Clean shot by number 22. Is that Pulisic, is it?
Pulisic or whatever it is, yeah.
He's in a decent run of form. Should have scored for my money. He's 14 yards out, but he's got to take that chance.
Yeah, if you look at that, I think Fabianski's beaten there, isn't he, Rio?
Absolutely. He had absolutely no chance. The thing is, there was so much room down our left-hand side to exploit. And the defence, just watching that ball was just sailed through. It was someone's got to attack it and get rid of it.
Yes, it was actually a nice little leave by Abrahams there, little dummy, I think, which created the chance. But, Chelsea getting closer, aren't they? 21 minutes, 22 minutes gone. West Ham still looking for a shot on target, I believe. But I guess Moyes is going to be reasonably. I know I keep coming back to this, but Moyes is going to take a point all day long, isn't he, today?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think he'd be well happy with a point. I think he's always happy with a point. But I think today especially we'll be happy with him. But Abrahams is just some good tidying up at the back from old Bonner there. But yeah, I think that he's almost set us up without the ball to be kind of ultra defensive. And I watched Bowen and Fornals just drop into kind of additional fullback roles. So we're almost going with a 6 at the back when they attack, which is interesting. But again, it just leaves us really tight. If we get the ball back, we've got no chance of breaking forward again.
Yeah, we seem to be struggling to get hold of possession at the moment, Pinky, don't we? It's all Chelsea right now.
It is. I mean, it's a dangerous game we're playing in the sense of, if you play the game in the wrong half of the field for too long, eventually you get caught out.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid, how often do we need to say it? We haven't really got a proper forward on the pitch, and ultimately it doesn't help us. It really doesn't help us. And there's no obvious out ball anywhere. And I'm afraid it is only a matter of time before Chelsea actually get off the mark here, for my money.
We theorised last week that Haller might be back tonight. Do we think that Moyes is perhaps saving for another game? That's to you, Pinky. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I had a theory. It was a financially related absence, not an injury one. And I semi-stand by that. I just don't believe the injury thing. I really don't. I think there's more to it than meets the eye. And I think ultimately, I've said it a couple of times.
Yeah.
This is about winning the matches that matter. And to us as supporters, we want to win every game. But if you're a professional football manager, if you said to David Moyes tonight, would you swap a defeat tonight as long as you were guaranteed a win on Saturday against Newcastle? He would take it all day long. All day long.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I just grinning a bit there because I think we just saw the best and worst of Antonio in a space for a few seconds where he used his muscle to hold off a defender and then just kick the ball into touch.
Which was just... drink break anyway. So I'm going to get a drink.
Excellent stuff. Rio, we are a quarter of the way through the match. It's West Ham United 0, Chelsea 0. Before I go to the forum, Are you happy with what you've seen so far? Where do you think West Ham are perhaps lacking, and where can we improve in the second half of the first half?
I'm not happy. We're set up like an away side. We're setting up to soak up as much pressure we can to hit on the break.
Yeah.
And against the calibre of this side, I think we're on a high to nothing. As Pinky says, it's just a matter of time, really, when they actually make the breakthrough. We're leaving Antonio miles away from anyone else. Jane Tommy's seen a bit of bright spark. It's when he's been at his bullish best. Otherwise, it's going nowhere.
Just going to pop into the forum quickly, into the KUMB forum match thread. And Soft Hammer points out that possession-wise, it's in Chelsea's favour by 77% to 23%, which I guess backs up pretty much what you're saying there. Celador says, Antonio looks tired already. He can't beat Christensen for pace, so he just keeps diving. He's been useless, partially because he's isolated, but also because he's not doing much. Yarmolenko by 55 minutes if Antonio doesn't improve. Briz, substitutions. Moyes has been heavily criticised in the first two games for only using 4 of his available 10. Do we expect to see more activity in this game, do you think?
I don't think so. I don't think from his behaviours before that he's going to change that in any way, shape or form. I think we'll see like for like substitutions again. It'll all be about maintaining the shape, and there'll be nothing to kind of be ambitious about it and try and go ahead and get anything out of the game. I think he's demonstrated that previously, and I think he'll do the same tonight. Yeah,
we've in the first two games that we've covered since the Premier League resumed, I think we've all sat here, Noam, and pretty much predicted what was going to happen with Traore in the first game, and then I think the opening 10-15 minutes of the Spurs game, we could all see what was coming, couldn't we? But there was no reaction from Moyes.
Indeed, and I was sort of swapping between games earlier on in the earlier games, and the lad at Newcastle who's was it Saint Maximin, or however you pronounce it, he's another Traore. So I fear for that on Sunday as well.
Yes. Yeah, it's. I mean, they've looked really impressive, I think. Newcastle. I mean, I know they were only playing Bournemouth, Pinky, but to go anywhere and put 4 in the bags, the sign of a decent, sort of relatively informed team, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. You see how Newcastle played at the weekend when they played, was it Manchester City?
Yeah.
And the cognoscenti caned Steve Bruce because essentially they played 5-4-1, and they sat very deep. They soaked up the pressure all afternoon.
Yep.
And of course, everyone says he doesn't know what he's doing. But again, it's the classic. He was never going to get anything from that game, so he didn't bother. It was damage limitation. He's gone to Bournemouth, and clearly they've said, this is a game we can win and we must win. And he's a lot more positive. And they racked up the goals, and that is Newcastle United on 42 points. And as we all know, no one ever goes down on 42 points, do they?
They won't this year.
So Bruce has stuck to his plan, and I just wonder if Moyes does have the plan just to win those games that really matter. Let's hope so.
Yeah, I know that's a theme you've been continuing with for the last 2 weeks, and it certainly makes sense, doesn't it, to target those that he feels he can win. Rio, Newcastle winning that game, as Pinky rightfully points out, they're all but safe now. As we know, it's only West Ham who goes down, as Pinky pointed out again, on 42 points. Could that work in our favour? Because, I think, again, Pinky raised the point a couple of weeks ago that by the time they play West Ham, they're going to have, one eye on the beach, as it were.
I actually don't think it will. They've been pretty safe as it is.
Yep.
All it is breathing confidence for them. And where they were lacking at the start of the season was goals, they're now beginning to come for them. So I think they just want to carry on.
Yep, it's a fair point. As they say, confidence breeds confidence. And we're just having a quick look at the table as it stands now. I mean, they're showing the top half, which isn't really relevant to us this season, and probably not for next season or many more, the way things are going. But that's another point. No, I'm just going to come to you now. We're just not seeing. We saw a gradual improvement in the Tottenham game, didn't we? But what is going wrong here? Why are we not attacking? Why are we seeing, you know, West Ham just not creating anything? What's the problem? Is it just Moyes' defensive tactics? Is he frightened of Chelsea? What's the problem?
Yeah, I think there's a combination of things there. Firstly, Chelsea are very good on the ball. They keep it well, and we've basically set up because we know that. So we are defending sort of deep. The problem is that we are winning the ball from time to time, as I mentioned earlier on, but the out ball is an attempt to try and sort of find Antonio, and a couple of times it's gone wrong, and he's tried to zoom his way past people, and he hasn't got that great pace, and it's not happening. So it comes back. Alternatively, when it doesn't go long, we're not keeping the ball well enough to within a second or two, they're getting it back. You've got to give Chelsea some credit for that, because whilst they're nowhere near Manchester City in that sort of league, they're playing in a similar way in that when the ball gets lost, they are getting it back quite quickly. And so I just thought we were going to have a shot there, that Chelsea were going to have a shot there, but it was blocked.
It's. I was just going to say that we've just seen Giroud sitting on the bench there, looking wistfully over towards the pitch. Breeze, did we miss a trick there by perhaps not going in for him in January? Would that be someone that could have done us a job, as they say?
I think he's almost similar to Haller in the way that he plays the game, so I'm not sure whether he would have been the answer. I think we're just missing any striker. I'm really surprised at the Ayeti situation. I mean, I would have thought that at least against Chelsea they would have given him a game up front. For Moyes to say that the journalists probably know more about him than he does is ridiculous, really. But he must have shot his dog or something to not get a game. I don't know what's going on with him.
It's bizarre, isn't it, to spend? I know it wasn't a fortune that West Ham invested on him. I think it was 8 million pinky that we spent last summer, but it's bizarre, isn't it, to not even give him an opportunity? I know we saw him in the League Cup earlier in the season, but I don't think he started a Premier League game yet.
I think he started one. I think he had a 45-minute run out, or was that a cup game against West Brom? Sorry. He's done 125 minutes in the Premier League, spread across 8 matches. So, 2 hours and 5 minutes. And just to put that in context, Hernandez, who left the club 10.5 months ago, has spent nearly as much time on the pitch this season as a Jetty. So that'll give you an idea of not only has Moyes not trusted him, clearly Pellegrini didn't trust him either as a striker. So, you have to question some of the players that joined us last year, who was spending the money, who was authorising the money, whether it was Roberto between the sticks, a Jetty that's 8 million quid plus down the pan. There's an awful lot of money gone and not a lot of value in some of it. And
we have a corner, gents.
Talk us through it, Noam.
Well, we won a free kick. Nasty little challenge by Alonso on Bowen. Ran his studs down the back of his calf. Just the free kick given. Played in from deep. It was a central area, but it was cleared out for a corner. So we have a corner anyway. And there's the usual sort of shenanigans going on with people sort of bumping and pulling each other. And Diop seems to have hold of Souček's shorts for some reason.
Martin Souček.
It's bizarre. Wait till you see this, Gray. Now the referee's putting a stop to it.
Is he going to book one of our players for manhandling a teammate? That would be interesting.
But it's just sort of players are trying to stand. Souček is trying to stand right behind Diop. And who's that? Just try to think. Aspilicueta is trying to get in between the two of them. It's hilarious. It's hilarious to watch. Now Atkins has had a word, and then they went back and did it again, and now he's pulled the bloke whose name I can't pronounce over for a quiet word. So
it'll be interesting to see what happens if the ball's in play there, Breeze, because surely it's got to be a foul, isn't it?
Taken, and he'll give a free kick to the defence. That's
it
always happens.
I'm just watching now.
Yes! Come on!
Rio, talk to me. What's going on? Have we scored?
We've only scored on the corner.
Amazing. Here we go.
And I'm just waiting to see if they pull it back. But yeah, the ball's come across towards the far post. It's kind of scrambled around a bit, but Suchek stabbed it home. I'm still
West Ham have scored a goal. It's only taken 3 games. Pinky, what about that? What can we say?
It's, I mean, it's one for the purists, absolutely one for the purists. No question about it. It's. I mean, the best bit is, Bonner, Antonio, I think it was trying his hardest by lying on the deck to stop Suchek banging it in. So he was acting as an extra defender almost for Chelsea. I mean, if we tried that 100 times again in training, we'd never get a goal. It's ridiculous. But what it shows is the old Kevin Nolan thing. Some physicality in and around the 6-yard box.
I don't want to worry you guys, but there's a bit of a delay here, and it's VAR.
Oh, here we go.
Offside. Well, he's not at that point.
I see you're talking about Antonio lying on the floor, possibly.
Yeah.
I'll be very surprised.
I think he's played on there by number 3. I can't see.
Well, his head's on offside, isn't it? I think, but is he interfering because he's just chipped it up? He's on the floor.
Well, regardless of what happens there, the bubbles are flying. David Moyes is celebrating. Suchek is obviously delighted because he's made up for the own goal against Tottenham.
Well, we hope.
We hope. We're just looking at it again now.
They don't give that. It's ridiculous.
The longer it goes on, the more they're going to give it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the concern, isn't it? So we're just waiting here. We're just seeing VAR replay after VAR replay at the moment.
His head's offside, I'm afraid. Now it's a question of is that interfering? I would say not, but
this is the sort of goal that West Ham will get penalised for. We've seen it before.
It's the sort. If you had a Liverpool shirt on, they'd give that.
Pinky, what are you thinking? Are we going to get this, or is it going to be cancelled out?
They're going to cancel it. They'll cancel it. They're trying to find everything to give a reason not to award a goal, and it's VAR all over. I'm afraid I don't like it. I think it's killing the game, and all this nonsense about you've got to get the right result. What a load of tosh! This is using slide rules and bloody geometry.
He's not interfering with play. He's on the floor and he's back, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, but yeah. That's the whole point.
I think they're going to disallow it, but because
the fundamentals of the rule are being forgotten.
He was interfering, and that's just wrong.
Yeah, we're seeing the lines being drawn now, which is never a good sign.
Yeah.
Technically,
he's in an offside position, but
yeah,
he wasn't offside when he was interfering with play. The second he's lying on the ground, it's come out of Suchek, and yeah, he's offside there, but he's in an offside position, but he's not interfering. He's not gaining any advantage from that. And if they're going to disallow it by the looks of things, and it's just wrong.
I agree. I don't think he's active at all in that position. I think he's down, he's prone. He's not obstructing the goalkeeper, regardless of what they're going to say.
That is disallowed. It's disgusting. If you ever want to, completely what's wrong with refereeing in this country? They've looked and said, yeah, he's in an offside position, but they've totally ignored part of the law of the game, and it's done us again. And next time we have a journo on the Modcast grab, can we ask them why they never sort of look into why refereeing so awful in this country?
David Moyes looks aghast, more than he usually does. Rio, were we surprised by that?
I'm stunned by it, but since when has common sense and entertainment been a part of football this year?
Yeah,
we're in an entertainment game. We're doing the best to take every bit of joy out of football that's going, and VAR is a joke. It's an absolute joke.
Pinky, without VAR, is there any way that goal gets cancelled?
No. I mean, we've all seen 100 goals like that get given, season after season. The traditional goalmouth scramble, and I'm afraid they're using geometry to overrule, the fundamental laws of the game, and it is nonsense. And you're never going to convince me that the rule is being applied evenly. They're finding reasons not to give goals rather than give a goal. And it's absurd. What I will say, it's less painful watching it on telly than it is standing in the stadium suffering VAR. That's for sure. Had we been there tonight, we'd have all been staring at each other, going, "What's going on?" For a minute and a half. So, but unlucky, but you've got to deal with it. It's 0-0, and let's be honest, after 40 minutes before kickoff, would we have taken that? Possibly.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Just looking at the forum, as you can imagine, it's all going mad on there. Everybody's reaction to that disallowed goal. Hammerman 2004 simply says they're taking the piss. And Wolf 359 says WTF VAR. Kent Hammers just obviously can't believe it. Oh, wow, he says, smiley, smiley, smiley. Das Nut Knock 2 says VAR really is sucking the life out of our sport, isn't it? 61 Dixie, 10 minutes of VAR to rule it out, I bet. What a pile of... If it is not obvious, then give the goal. And Gary P, clever finish, Suchek. Oh, FFS, he's offside. Soft hammer for F's sake. I can't believe this. And I think everyone had called it before it was even signalled. Desperately unfortunate West Ham there. Our wait for a goal continues.
Now he's given a penalty against us. I just give up with these twits.
Breeze, talk to me. Tell me what's happening there, please.
The most innocuous challenge you've ever seen, and it's almost like an evening out. The refs just given a penalty. These referees now, they've gone from being behind the game.
Come on, ref. That's ridiculous. You're 2 foot away from it and you're giving them.
He's absolutely bought that.
Come on, where's the VAR now?
It's cowardice, absolute cowardice by referees. They can sit behind the screen, give a decision, and they don't have to face either the players on the pitch or the fans in the stadium. It was a dreadful decision for Everton against Leicester earlier. This is an absolute appalling decision here as well.
Rio, is there any semblance of a challenge there from Diop at all?
He's just stood up and Pulisic has just left his legs down and gone for it. Gary Neville's just said it was stone wall.
Well, that's no surprise.
And they've just scored.
Yeah. Well done, ref.
That's a goal. We are behind for the 3rd consecutive game. Moyes is shaking his head in sheer disbelief at what he's seen. I think everyone of a claret and blue persuasion is, and we're all kind of asking, what is the point, really? If this is what football has become. West Ham denied what really was a perfectly legitimate goal, albeit bar a few centimetres of Michael Antonio's Barnet. And then we see Chelsea go up the other end, absolutely steal a penalty, and, it's 1-0. Pinky, the game's gone, isn't it?
What, tonight, or do you mean in general?
Oh, sorry. In general, with these decisions, I mean, what is going on?
I'll go on a limb here. Look, technically it was a penalty. Yeah, there was contact, but ultimately...
Pinky, I'll disagree with you there. Yeah. He was actually horizontal before there was contact.
Hang on, I'll come to you in a minute. Let's just let Pinky finish his point there.
The reality is, he's exaggerated for effect to make sure the ref saw it, from a whole 2 meters away.
Yep.
But the bit we've done wrong, we've allowed the player to get into the box, the ball at his feet, move the ball, while the defender's got his legs stuck out. And it's bad defending any way you slice it. We can debate the penalty issue, and I'd say you're always running the risk. And to me, I call penalty in real time when I saw it. Yes, when you see the slow-mos, you're thinking, oh, it looks a bit iffy. But for my money, it's the fact that we're actually defending our box poorly. That's where the damage was done.
Thank you. Noam, coming on that point, please. Come back to you.
We're falling into the trap here, and it's been coming because when Liverpool first started importing diving for all their European stuff, we got this stupid idea that you've got Hansen sitting there and Lawrenson sitting there, and they were never going to turn around and say no, our players are diving. So they come up with this concept that oh, well, if there's contact, it doesn't matter how much the player's got the right to go down. And it's wrong.
Yep.
The laws of the game don't say that. And if there is contact, it's got to be enough for him to actually get him over. It's not a case of contact, oh, let's throw myself to the ground. And that one, he was horizontal before there was any contact.
Yeah.
You know, if the forward instigates any contact, it's not a penalty. And that's what happened there.
Breeze, have we been hard done by there, given our efforts in the first half? Breeze has disappeared for a minute. Rio, I'll throw that one over to you. Have we been hard done by there?
I think we have. I mean, I understand what Pinky's saying, and it's not great defending, but the players made the most of it. The referees bought it, and after the elation of allegedly going the goal up, we're going to have the life sucked out of us, and heads are dropped. We look doomed.
Yeah, it's crushing that, isn't it? I mean, to go.
Did anybody notice them going to VAR to check that?
No, they didn't.
Of course not. Bet they would have done up the other end.
Are you suggesting that it's unfair, no?
I'm suggesting that PGMOL are very selective about when and when they don't use VAR.
It's bizarre. I mean, you know, we sit here and we joke about it, but it is. You do make a valid point. I mean, we looked at the Tottenham game last week, and clearly the opening Spurs goal should have been disallowed. There's no doubt about it. Now,
yeah,
what's going on here? I mean, I don't, you know, I understand what you're saying, and I appreciate that, you know, you say it slightly tongue in cheek, but it does make you wonder when you look at the decisions that have added up over the season. You know, the thing like the Sheffield game, when Rice was pulled up for that goal in the final minute, which didn't count, cost us a point. This one here, we would have been 1-0 up. Now we're 1-0 behind.
Well,
I mean,
Liverpool's opening goal against us, I don't know if it's before or after the Sheffield United game, but there was a blatant handball in the middle of that.
Yep.
And they got a penalty just 2 seconds afterwards. And, you know, well, yeah, we won't look at that. Yeah, they're sort of like, you know, we score a goal and it's from West Ham scored. There must be something wrong. It's just, as I say, the whole sort of setup, PGOM, MOL, whatever you want to call them, it's designed purely to sort of protect well, we go, Antonio's going down the wing, but it's designed to protect the incompetent. And, you know, that idiot who apparently looked at the VAR goal against Spurs last week and, you know, didn't spot the handball. What punishment happened to him? I'll tell you, he was doing Everton Leicester tonight.
Yes, I'm just seeing Antonio fly down the right, and you know, there's not even another West Ham player in shot as I speak. Yeah. Souček's just come in, but you know, by the time he's done that, there's 3 or 4 defenders around Antonio. We're going to have to be a little bit more.
Yes.
Rio, talk to me. What's going on?
Hold on. Let VAR disallow it first.
Again.
Have we scored? Rio? For good.
From the corner.
Souček again.
Pull out that one, Atkinson. Go on.
To the far post. Souček rose above. I think it was Azpilicueta. Knocked it back across the goal and into the back of the net.
I've just seen the replay come in. The corner's come across now. Now I've just seen the goalkeeper get balked by someone, and he's complaining. But I think it's his own defender. So, Pinky, have we finally got a goal to celebrate here?
We've got a goal to celebrate, and for my money, that's Souček now sitting on a hat trick. You know, because his first goal was fine. His second goal was an absolute peach there, and you know, I think that's good stuff from a corner kick as well, and you know.
I mean, the one, yes, and we've kicked off, so he hasn't disallowed it. The one good thing about this refereeing and what ought to happen is it ought to spur us, it ought to make us angry. It ought to sort of get a bit of fire out there. And,
sorry, no, I'm just coming in there. Well, what's interesting, and looking at the replay, Antonio's been completely manhandled there. Surely that's a penalty. If the goal isn't given anyway, Briz, do you not think?
Yeah, him and Ogbonna were both being wrestled around in the box.
Yeah.
But I thought the same as you, that the keeper had been obstructing. He was not going to give it. And then looking back, and I realised it was his own player. But great effort from Souček then. He's been our best player all half, really. He's been involved in everything. and worked his socks off. So he's getting his reward now, and fair play to them.
Absolutely. He's had a fantastic or a very decent first half. And as Pinky says, really should be sitting on a hat trick by now. Rio, you were the first to call that one. You must have called it just before the others. We're going to be happy with that. And it's you know, we're on level terms at last. Yes, as Pinky says, really we should be in front. That was a very dodgy call, but we got to be happy with that. Yes, right now. That's to you, Rio.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as has been said, when we go a goal down, I don't think we've earned the point of the season. So to go in at 1-1 against a side of this calibre is a massive plus after having the life ripped out of us about 3 or 4 minutes beforehand.
Okay, thank you. Pinky, do you want to give us your review in 30 to 60 seconds of the first half, please, my friend?
Yeah, I'm going to start with a positive, and just picking up on a comment you made in the attack where Antonio tore down the wing, and you said there was no one in no other West Ham player in shot.
Yeah,
disagree there. 3 players actually poured into the box.
Yes, they did.
But on 3 other occasions in the first half, when the ball was due to come in, we had 4 players in the Chelsea box. So that to me shows a lot more positive intent tonight than we've seen in the last 2 games. So at least we're trying to get forward when we can.
Yeah.
In all fairness, Chelsea, it was their half. But at the end of the day, it's 1-1. That's it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, all to play for. Briz, would you go along with what Pinky's saying there?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been really impressed, actually. The difference that Souček's made coming in for taking Noble's position, along with Ogbonna at the back, has been startling, actually. I think it's really solidified that centre element of the defence. I think we're still looking a bit ropey down on Frederick's side. But other than that, we've looked quite solid. I know we haven't created much, but we've actually stopped them from scoring and stopped them from breaking through, apart from obviously the joke of a penalty. But yeah, I've been quite impressed, and I was, happily surprised.
Good stuff. Couple of comments on YouTube. Firstly, from Chris Mulhall. Sorry, Chris. He says, guys, to be honest, if you want to commentate on the game, please get a live feed. You're about 40 seconds behind the game. Chris, just to clarify, that's only me. All the other guys are bang on live. I'm watching a moody stream, so I'm a few seconds behind. But it's working reasonably well so far because I'm getting to get the nod from them before anything happens. So I can clarify that most of the team are bang up to date. Sorry, Pinky, what was that?
Well, I just had confirmation from Company's House that the rights issue has gone through, so dated the 1st of July. So today, West Ham United have got £30 million more in their bank account than they had yesterday.
Excellent stuff.
Just come through Company's House.
Thank you for that great live update. I guess it will. We'll find out soon exactly how that £30 million was made up. Of course, the shares were offered initially to the existing directors, I believe, and we're not aware of anyone else having come in. I think we were quite certain that David Sullivan was going to take his shares, but there was a little bit of uncertainty with regards to David Gold, perhaps.
Well, all we can see at the minute is 750 shares at 40 grand a pop. So,
I saw this earlier on, and it said that all the existing shareholders had taken up their options.
Okay, excellent stuff. Well, that's good news, and that'd be interesting because we weren't sure about Trip Smith and whether or not he would reinvest. I mean, I guess it's not an enormous investment for someone of his vast wealth, but Pinky, I mean, this is your bag. This is a good thing for the club, yes?
It's an absolutely necessary thing for the club. I mean,
yeah,
we know that next season the club is potentially looking at close on a £30 million deficit in terms of match day income, but it's the spell between mid-May and the end of June when they'd normally get the season ticket money that they can come in terms of cash. They haven't had that this season, and clearly there's been a gaping hole in the finances. They've done the right thing. A rights issue is the right thing. They've put some money in, boys. You are the owners of the business. I do doubt, though, whether or not £30 million would be enough. I have very serious doubts on that front.
Okay, thank you very much. That remains to be seen. We'll pick up on that a bit later. Just going to come back to YouTube and the chat so far. Couple of comments from the guys. Steve Palmer says, we've put the ball in the net twice. What's going on? Steve, I think we're as shocked as you so far, but no complaints from here. Neil from Down Under. Good evening, or is it good morning, Neil? It says, evening all from South Australia at 5:35 a.m. Now, that's what I call keen. Chris Mulhall again says hello to Neil. Well, hi, Neil. We've just done that. Chris Dalby, evening, gents. Hi, Chris. Just bought a new heart rate monitor. It's topping out around 160 watching this. Well, it could be worse, I guess. You know, it's we're just seeing the goals again. Actually, I'll come back to those in a minute. Metal in both legs says a moody stream. Yes, it is a moody stream, but don't tell anyone. That's our little secret. Just quickly popping into the forum. And I'm on the wrong page. So what I'm going to do is just come back to the 2 goals we've scored. First of all, Noam, that disallowed one from Souček, and then obviously a great header afterwards.
Incredibly, they're saying that Antonio was obstructing the keeper's vision. Now, the keeper's, okay, he's not stood right up, but he's not actually right down, and he's looking over Antonio at the ball. And if anyone's obstructing his vision, it's his own defender. And we're just seeing the penalty now. That's such an embarrassing dive, the penalty. Puzilic, it's, you know, it's like, there's a leg. Oh, I'm going to, let me go this way. Let me get a bus ride over that way to see if I can go over this leg. It's embarrassing. He is horizontal by the time there's any contact.
Briz, Noam's obviously, yeah, I mean, it's just coming through now, but particularly annoyed by that. I mean, it's frustrating, isn't it? I mean, as a defender, I mean, I'm looking at that again. There is a little flick out, I think, there from Diop as the ball goes by. But, you know, Briz, it's not a penalty, is it?
No, that's up in the Jamie Vardy style of getting penalties. It's absolutely ridiculous. And again, we're trying to take all the contact out of the game completely. If players are going to dive like that, whenever there's a little tap, it's ridiculous. And, you know, you look back at 10, 15 years ago, the rest of the team would have pulled him up for that. But this is absolutely appalling.
That's, Rio, that's a fantastic header from Souček. I know he's got a height advantage over his man there, but he really gets up well to nod that down, doesn't he? And I think, you know, it's good. And I'm just seeing James Collins in the studio with a big smile on his face, which is nice to see. But is that, remind me, is that Souček's first goal? Rio? Putting you on the spot here.
I think didn't he score up at Anfield? I can't remember.
It's his first goal for the club. The captain came up and said it was anyway.
Okay. Good stuff. But Pinky, it should have been 2.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely should have been 2. And which just goes to show, for all the possession that Chelsea have had, for all the, you know, parts of the pitch the game's being played in, you know, if you don't actually take your chances, then you can get caught out. And, you know, Frank Lampard will probably be getting stuck into his team, I would think, at this point in time, and saying, you have to be more clinical, because West Ham have scored 2, for my money, legitimate goals. And Chelsea, I mean, let's not forget, this is a Chelsea team that beat Manchester City, 10 days ago?
Yep.
So for us, 1-1 at this point in time ain't the worst position to be in.
Actually, that's a really good point, because we were all really concerned, I think, when we saw that Chelsea result. Interesting point from the match thread on the KUMB forum from Monkey Bubbles. He says, Chelsea aren't up for this. If Moyes can get everyone hyped up, we could batter them in the second half. Rio, what do you think of that? Would you go along with that?
I actually think that's a little bit optimistic. They certainly look up for it when they're passing the ball around. And I think Monkey's been on the old grape juice too much.
Well, let's hope he's right. You never know. Colours Never Run says, fantastic stuff from Souček today. Much more like what I want to see for him, and more than deserved his goal, / S goals. He's also getting in amongst it well in the middle too. Same again, second half, please. Then Noble can stay out, stroke on the bench. Big Carp Chaser, who I'm not sure, this might be a pseudonym for you, no more, or an alter ego perhaps. He says, no other explanation, it's bent. So clear and obvious. It took nearly 4 minutes to find something wrong.
Just to rub it in, we've got Sean Bean on the telly right now. Is he marching on Parliament? Oh no, it's Yorkshire Tea. Sorry, he's peddling that. I thought he was already going to protest about West Ham maybe getting a point.
Well, talking, I mean, it's talking about those that objected to West Ham's staying up in 2007. Another one who did was Dave Whelan, Pinky, and we've seen some very, very bad news for his former team today. Wigan. I mean, you know, we're all football fans. We're not going to. I don't think it's something we're going to sit here and rejoice about. But Wigan, we noticed today, have gone into administration. Do you think there's going to be more of that, Pinky, in the weeks to come for Championship clubs?
Loads of it. I mean, fill your boots. You know, I fear for the 92 club system we've got.
Yeah,
I think ultimately, the lower down the league system you go, the more they depend upon gate money. So with the supporters not getting in, you take League 1 and 2, I think it's something like 60% of their revenue comes from gate money. So for them, they're facing an absolute perilous position. You know, the Championship is just drowning in a sea of debt, generally speaking. So for Wigan, they changed hands recently, I believe, and there's a smelly story there somewhere. That is for sure. But I would expect numerous football clubs to go into administration in this COVID period. There's no doubt.
Yeah, worrying signs there. I think the club were taken over by a consortium from Hong Kong just 4 to 5 weeks ago. And as you say, something's definitely not right there, is it? With regards to what's gone on there.
The Chinese word for no money. So you know that as soon as you see the word consortium around any football club bid or change of ownership, you know that means that people have got to gang together to get the money. So what are you going to do? Have a coffee meeting to sort of raise funds to buy a fullback? You know, if you've got a club together with half a dozen mates to buy your football club, you haven't got enough. And that's what it boils down to. And you know, West Ham United there, we've raised £30 million today. I wouldn't be surprised to see us have to go to the shareholders again and raise another 30 or 40 million before the end of the summer. It's that serious, this cash squeeze. It really is.
Yep. Okay, thank you for that. Just quickly looking at the chat on YouTube. Charlie Clark says they waited so long on the VAR because they needed that long to invent some kind of reason.
Yeah, it really was going at him. The keeper couldn't see the ball. The ball that he was stood over Antonio looking at. You know, that really does smack of desperation.
I can see you're not going to let this one go tonight, Noam.
Yeah. Well, I just want somebody to have a look at the refereeing standards in this country, and yeah, I want somebody to stand up and say they're rotten. I want somebody to do that in mainstream media. It's all very well me saying it, but you know, everyone will just say, "Oh, that's just a supporter." But you know, the FA need to look at it, and I mean, the whole setup's against FIFA rules as it stands anyway, because the FA are supposed to control all that, and it's not in their hands. And you know, why doesn't somebody look at this?
Yeah, it's a good point, fair point, and who knows? We'll see what happens in the coming weeks and months. Briz, I just want to come back quickly to the match here tonight. We're just a few minutes away from the start of the second half. David Moyes doesn't have an awful lot of options. We're just seeing the replay of the disallowed goal again. I can hear Pinky groaning in the background there. What options do you think Moyes is likely to turn to, Briz? You know, and do you think he's going to be a little bit more proactive this time than in the last couple of matches?
I think we'll see Yarmolenko on. We may see Balbuena on for Bonner, depending on how fit he is. but I don't think we'll see too much more from that. I expect to see Giroud come on for Chelsea, actually. I think they're lacking a little bit of height up against Ogbonna and Diop and I'm pretty sure they'll make that change quite early on to win some kind of advantage there. But I can't see us just doing anything. We've not done it before. We'll settle for a point if we can, and we'll just sit deep.
Okay, let's see where we're going with regards to. We're
just started again, Greg. Just to you'll be with us in about 20 seconds, I think.
I seem to have caught up a little bit now because I've already kicked off, so it's not quite as bad as it was.
We've got we had a throw on the right, which we've got the ball in their box, and we're keeping it up there at the moment. It's just it looked like Antonio was going to wind up for a long throw and then ended up playing it short. But we're keeping the ball for a few seconds anyway, which is at which point we give it away. We do get it back, but that's gone for a throw in anyway. It's it looked promising for half a second and then it didn't.
Okay, well, I think we can all be happy. Chelsea haven't been in our half yet since the half-time whistle, or very briefly anyway, so that's a good sign. Russ Picken, welcome, Russ. Welcome to the stream. He says, I'm a Wolves fan, but I'm right behind you today. I wonder why that is. Come on, you Hammers. Charlie Clark, going back to the disallowed goal, says, I can't get my head around it. I don't care who says what. I don't think it's even claret-coloured specs talking, just nuts as far as I'm concerned. Well, Charlie, we're all with you there, mate, on that one, I think. Briz, second half started. Monkey Bubbles said that he thinks Chelsea are there for the taking. Can we win this? Could we really upset the odds now?
No. I think we're going to. I think we'll sit deep. We'll try and counter, and we'll take a point all day long.
Okay, Pinky, you any more optimistic? Do you think we could sneak this one now, given the fact we've stuck the ball in the back of their net twice already?
Yes, I do, and you can almost see the confidence building in the players. I hope it doesn't turn into overconfidence, but just the fact that actually the players know we've scored 2 goals. That are legitimate. Okay, only one of them given. But for me, I think as long as we don't get too overconfident, we've got every chance here.
Yeah, I'd kind of go along with that. I think really, we've certainly started brightly in the second half, looking to get on the front foot anyway, which is a positive sign.
That was a good tackle. Sorry, Chelsea have got the ball in our box, but there was a very, very timely intervention from Souček there. Who's having a great game, I have to say.
Yes, definitely been our brightest spark so far, hasn't he? At both ends of the pitch.
I think another point I'd make, Graham, if I can, the teams have played. The teams have played. Wolverhampton Wanderers pushing for a Champions League spot, and with I read today they've got something like the tightest defence in Europe over the last 8 games. No one scores against them.
Yep.
Against the Tottenham Hotspur team, again with European aspirations, if we can all keep a straight face. But so and Chelsea tonight again pushing hard to cement a Champions League place. So we're playing some tough teams in this little run of games.
We are,
and maybe we're being a bit harsh on our guys, and the confidence is building, the fitness is building, and I've said it for a week or so now. The first really competitive game we'll have will be Newcastle Saturday. And if we keep playing like this as we've started this second half, we could play them with some confidence, I think.
That's a really valid point. I think it's we've definitely played some tough games. We see Mark Noble there looking onto the pitch with his mask on. Steve Lord, hi Steve, good to see you on the chat. Steve says, often Chelsea, isn't it? The 18th century parking of a bus, rare wins at the London Stadium, and David Martin's cameo. A double coming, come on you Irons. I think we'll buy into that, Steve. Definitely like to see a bit of positivity. Noam, you happy with the start in the second half so far?
Yeah, we started a little bit on the front foot, and Fredericks just lined up a shot that was blocked. I suspect it might have troubled the people who've got to go and get the balls back rather than the goal, but It's blocked, gone out for a throw in again on our right, and Antonio probably will launch this one in. Not a bad idea, actually, given that the 2 goals that we've scored have come from sort of set pieces, and it does seem to cause bother. In it goes now, and but Chelsea managed to deal with this one fairly comfortably this time round, anyway. But
Rio.
yeah, we have started a little bit more on the front foot.
Yep.
Which is good to see. Although, as I say, we don't want to get caught on the break, which is kind of what happens quite a lot to us. So,
Yes.
a cautious smile at the moment.
Okay, good stuff. I mean, that was certainly the issue at Tottenham, wasn't it, with the second goal, with Kane's goal. I was just going to say, Rio, is it me or is Declan Rice relishing the captaincy out there tonight? I mean, he's spurring the team on every time I see a close-up. You know, he's willing the boys on. He's getting stuck in. He's doing a great job at the back there.
Right.
One moment, Graham. I've already done it.
In!
Come on.
Get in!
Rio, take it up, please. Off you go.
Okay. Well, we kind of meandered into the box. Antonio lost it. It filtered its way back out on the right-hand side. Cross come in, I think it was from Fredericks, and it's kind of reached Antonio, who scoops it in. It's a very well-worked goal. It's unreal.
Superb play from Declan Rice, first of all. Play, storms forward, plays a quick 1-2, plays a great ball into the middle for Antonio, who spun.
Now, that was a penalty.
A reasonable shout for a penalty. Bowen then puts the ball across. Antonio's got to his feet and buries it.
Antonio's had the shirt hauled off in there.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at that, if the Chelsea one's a penalty, that's a penalty, isn't it? I mean, it's immaterial in the end. The ball's in the back of the net.
We've got to score 2 goals for every one. We've got to get 3 penalties for every one, I think. But well, I mean, on the showing of this first, what have we got? 7 minutes of this half. That has been well deserved. We've taken the game to them, and fair play to them. Now we just got to make sure we don't cock it up.
Fantastic, absolutely brilliant start. And also, I mean, it's not just the start of the second half. We had a decent end, last 5 or 10 minutes, scoring a couple of times. That's 3 times we've had the ball in Chelsea's net, probably in the last 20 minutes of play, Breeze. Perhaps Monkey Bubbles was right after all. Perhaps Chelsea are there for the taking.
Yeah, I'll take it back. I think we've suddenly looked like Brazil, haven't we, all of a sudden? I think it's a turnaround. I don't know what's going on. David Moyes will have to go and take a lie down after this. We've attacked twice and scored a couple of goals.
Fantastic stuff. It is West Ham United 2, Chelsea 1. It could be West Ham United 3, Chelsea 1, but for a very dodgy decision. The question is now, Pinky, you're David Moyes, not literally, but you know what I mean. What do? Do you sit deep? Do we look for another one? Do we keep it as it is? Do we bring on some fresh blood? What's your reaction over the next 5 minutes if you're the man on the sideline?
For the next 5 minutes, absolutely hang on to the ball.
Okay.
Just hang on to the ball and just kill the game for 5 minutes and take any heat out of it. Because let's not kid ourselves. This is a Chelsea team. Just look at their bench. The options that he's got, that Lampard's got to bring on some match winners. He could do it. So hang on to the ball. Don't do anything rash, flash, and just let the game die a slow death. Yeah.
Rio, you with Pinky on that one? Just sit tight for the next 5 minutes and just try and stop Chelsea playing, basically.
Yeah, definitely for the next 5 or 10, to be honest.
Yeah.
The thing is, we haven't got that many options on the bench, really, to kind of boost ourselves. I think Lanzini's going to be one of the first ones to go when the changes do occur. Possibly Fornells, who's not really been in the races today.
Yeah.
So I expect to see Jack Wilshere at least come on about 10 minutes, 15 minutes time.
Excellent. Good stuff. Just going to fly into the match thread on the KUMB forum quickly. Please hit eject while I'm looking at that side of my screen if anything happens on that side. Kit the Car says, go on VAR, bring that back for a penalty. Parker's here says, superb goal. Celador, wonderful passing in the build-up by basically the entire front 6. Mumbles87 says that is determination football. No penalty, straight up scores. That's the way. And I will say again, we play much more fluidly without Noble. He slows the pace down. That doesn't suit our game. We don't have the players. Gnome, are we benefiting from Noble not being in the team tonight?
Yeah, I mean, he does have and I'm not. This isn't a criticism, but he does have sometimes have a slowing effect on play. And the lineup as it is at the moment is working. We've gone back into this defending deep mode again, which always concerns me. After that's well played in the end. They looked like a Chelsea player might get free in the box, but there was a timely foot in. Was it Ogbonna? I don't know. Couldn't quite see that.
Was, yeah.
And that's a lovely cutout there in the middle. But we're at the I was going to say at the moment when we're winning the ball, we are actually holding on to it for a little while.
Yeah,
it's not. And yet again, we've given it away, and thankfully the Chelsea player's offside. But I must stop saying we're holding on to the ball very well, because the second I do that, we give it away. But it is a much improved performance in the second half. Let's keep this up. I mean, they're focusing on Antonio at the moment, who he's just sort of stood there waiting for the ball to come up, and he's got his hand up, but he does look knackered.
Yeah, I mean,
that might be deceptive. He always does to me. Yeah.
Yes. It might be a bit harsh on Noble to suggest that, but I think it's pretty clear that our two best performers so far have been Rice and Souček. Would you agree with that, Briz? Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, I would add Ogbonna into that as well.
And Ogbonna, he's had a solid game, so far.
But I think they've looked different class in the centre of the pitch. Both of them played out of their skins. They've held the ball up. Souček's been box to box, and we've been missing that for years. I think we definitely benefited from Noble feeling his hamstring earlier on. So, he's going to struggle to get back in.
Jeff Randall on the YouTube chat asks, could Moyes actually be about to beat a top 6 side? Fingers crossed, Jeff, you never know. And Steve Palmer says...
Declan Rice, superb, son.
Go on, Noam.
A promising Chelsea move. Basically floundered on the rock of Rice, and we're going forward now. Bones cut in. He's played in. At the end. It should be 3. Lanzini's just a very similar situation to Fusilage in the first half. We broke superbly. Declan Rice got in superbly.
Yep.
Bowen went down the right, played the ball across to the unmarked Lanzini, put his foot on it, and then just leant back and curled it over the top.
And also, I think also worth, it's very unlucky from Lanzini. What's also worth pointing out there, I think Fornals, again, one of those lung bursting runs that we mentioned at the start of the first half. He's the one he's the catalyst there, really. I think he's broken with the ball and fed Bowen out wide, and forced himself into the box and really created the space for Lanzini by dragging the defenders away. Pinky, are we a bit unlucky then not to go 3-1 up?
Luck's got nothing to do with it. It was a poor attempt by Lanzini, and the reality is we've done all the hard work, and he should, as a minimum, be making the keeper work. But if that was the Jeff Randall on the live feed, could I just take the opportunity to apologise to him for Fat Tony boring the arse off him at Mossy and Victoria's wedding 3 years ago? So better late than never, Jeff. In that sense. The other comment I'd make is about Souček and Moyes. You call a player Fellaini, West Ham fans don't want him. You call a player Souček, and suddenly he's a world beater, because he is doing the Fellaini job. There's no question about that. And if we're being honest, it's making a hell of a difference.
I'm loving watching these two in the middle tonight. I think Rice is he's absolutely.
The tackle at the start of that move was. I mean, the start of that move, I just shouted out, "Well played, Declan Rice," and the move stemmed from that. But to say, he's a different class there at times.
West Ham are really grafting at the moment. We're seeing everybody give 100%. This is the sort of performance that can change fortunes. We've looked down and out for pretty much the entirety of the last two games. Look like we're only going one way, but here we are, 2-1 up against a team that is gunning for the Champions League, beat Manchester City last week, have looked in fabulous form in the last couple of weeks. Moyes may have found the formula tonight. Do we think maybe that's a little bit much? Neil from Down Under on the chat says, you're doing a good job, guys, as I can't find a stream to watch and listen. And the listen live on the West Ham site isn't working. So thanks for that, Neil. We'll try and keep you up to date as much as possible. As it is, West Ham lead 2-1. We are just over two-thirds of the way through this game. It's looking really good. West Ham have had a great start to the second half. Chelsea just beginning to enjoy a little bit more possession as the time goes on, but I guess that's going to happen the longer the game goes on. Pinky's offered us his thoughts on how we should react, Pinky and Rio, over the first 5 minutes since scoring. We've successfully navigated that brief period now. Breeze, I'm putting you in David Moyes' shoes now for the next 10 minutes. Do we just sit as we are? Do we change some of those purportedly tiring legs out there?
I'd sit as we are for the moment. I think I'd see it up until about 70 minutes, and then I'd look to kind of bring on and bolster the midfield a little bit. Maybe take Fornals and Lanzini off. I'd bring Wilshere on, to be honest. He's very good at putting a foot on the ball and controlling the pace of the game, and I think that's what we kind of need at the moment, where it's a little bit frenetic.
Yeah.
And I think he could really do with someone just to put his foot on the ball, just to hold it up, just to say, hang on, lads, and have a look around him. And one thing I do find interesting, for a derby, we've not had a yellow card yet.
That's a good point. That's
we
a really
also
good point.
done the nasty little rake down the back of the calf by Alonso on Bowen in the first half. That was nasty, and that was a yellow all day long. We might get one now.
Yeah, just so I say that.
Yeah.
Go on, Noam.
Yeah, well, Lanzini turned. Not sure who it was there. Alonso. Number 7. Who's number 7 for him? Yeah, and had got away from him, and he just sort of left the foot in there to make sure he didn't get any further. Kante. Yeah.
There's actually, just prior to that, there's a fantastic touch from Fornals. I don't know if you saw it, just because about 10 seconds before. Chelsea, Rio, are they perhaps getting a little bit frustrated here?
Yeah, and they're just making a double change now. Abraham's coming off for Giroud, and Loftus-Cheek is about to come on as well. Couldn't see who actually went off for him, but it's the reaction they needed to make. They need to kind of drag the impetus back in the game and put us on the back foot.
Yeah, I think
hopefully we can ride out this little passage of play that's coming up.
Yeah, confirmation there that it was Ross Barkley being replaced by Loftus-Cheek, and Giroud, as Rio rightly tells us, coming on for Tammy Abrahams. Giroud's been he's scored a few goals against us over the years, but are we particularly concerned? Is that the change that Lampard should have made? Do we think they're Pinky? Is that the right call?
My preference would be to, were I Lampard,
yeah,
I'd be looking to put Mount on the pitch or Billy Gilmore. Because I think they're both two very, very creative players.
Yeah,
and I think he's made the change, but Giroud, I'm not particularly concerned.
Manson already.
Far more concerned that he chucked on Billy Gilmore, for example.
Okay.
Yeah, Mount came on just after the goal, the second goal.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so Lampard making those changes early. Moyes, I think, agreeing with you, Pinky, just sitting tight on it. No need to change it at the moment, is there really? We're looking reasonably comfortable. I mean, Chelsea have looked a little bit more dangerous in the last few seconds. A little ominous ball across goal there that seemed to evade everybody just a few seconds ago. But we're hanging on in there, Noam. We're doing okay.
Well, just about. They're getting closer, and
well done.
Cross got deflected, headed back across goal, but we managed to clear it. But a couple of times there, it's looking a little bit iffy. They're playing the ball between the lines on the edge of the box, and they've got one over here now on the right. Oh,
Yeah,
again, across from the right, cleared. We're looking a little bit shaky at the moment, I have to say.
yeah, a couple of chances there. Giroud inches away from getting on the end of one, and then the ball coming back in from the left.
Yellow.
Lenzini's going in the book.
Yeah, I mean, it deserves yellow, but it's you know, what this is what I think about refereeing. He's dived in there, and it's a yellow card all day long. But you know, there've been a number of those challenges throughout the evening that haven't been given. Yeah, I mean, we're riding our luck a little bit on the.
We certainly are. But is this not what we saw in the last two games? Rio against Wolves and Tottenham. You know, is this the time to make a change? Should Moyes, you know, shuffle his pack a little bit now, bring in one or more two just to strengthen things up? Or you know, would you be happy just to see? I mean, just looking at that tackle again, it's a pretty blatant one from Lanzini.
I got no complaints about the yellow.
Rio, over to you.
Just waiting for the free kick to come in, which Fabianski gave us safely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, if he's not making a change in the next minute or two, then I'd be concerned.
Okay.
Lanzini obviously not had a lot of first team football. Looks a little bit tired. Now on the yellow, we don't want to go down to 10 men.
Okay.
That's at least the one change we should make. Lanzini, I'd agree with Briz. I'd bring on Wilshere.
Okay. Yep. Just recapping there, Fabianski, fairly comfortable save, but you know, that's 3 or 4 half chances for Chelsea in the last 4 or 5 minutes. They are beginning to get back into the game and you know, put us under a little bit of pressure. Smuts certainly agrees with that. Rio says fresh legs time, Moyes. Just discussing how, I mean, Phoenix and Soft Hammer both asking, how is that not a booking for Conte, referring, I think, to that earlier challenge on Fornals. Das Nutnock also agrees. Did the ref forget his cards or something? They've had at least 3 clear yellows not given. Obviously not where we're concerned.
Referee, that's got to be another one.
Okay, Noam, where are we?
Mount's just gone in late on, I think it's Souček.
Yep.
I mean, it didn't look good in real time. And, he's just clattered into him. And then sort of no yellow. He's got the hands out. What me go? Oh, we're making a change. We're making our
Wilshere for Lanzini.
Wilshere for Lanzini. Guys, at this point, I'm going to have to take my leave of you for a second because we need a new power lead on this phone because this one's broken. So
no problem. We shall keep your space warm. Pinky, you were calling for Wilshere in that first game against Wolves. Happy to see him come in now at this time.
Yeah, I mean, where we are, you know, if we go with my theory of Moyes trying to have a core of 15 players that are fit, you know, we're getting to the point where if players aren't getting pitch time now in some form, in the last 3 or 4 games, you won't be able to give them pitch time because they'll be too far behind everybody else. So
yeah,
I think we're now at the point where he needs to give 2 or 3 others 15 or 20 minutes just so he has the option maybe in a fortnight's time to put players on. So happy with Wilshere. You know, let's see, it's 68 minutes. Can he make it to the 90? You know, Paddy.
There's a long way to go.
That's for sure.
Thank you. Just laughing while you're commenting there because I've just seen Ogbonna play a pass, which kind of reminds me of one of John Moncur's back in the day when they used to bet on how quickly they could put the ball into touch. It's possibly the worst free kick I've seen for 30 years from a West Ham player. We are in a drinks break now. Just looking quickly at YouTube at the chat. Mark Cannon asks, is Bristol broadcasting from a prison cell? No, Mark, I can happily confirm that Bristol is not broadcasting from a prison cell. He's broadcasting from his daughter's bedroom tonight. Breeze, do you want to explain why you've decided to opt for that room this evening?
Yeah, she's got a big widescreen TV in the room with Sky, so I've hijacked it at the moment. I'm surrounded by lots of dolls, mermaids, things, and cuddly tigers. So
there you go. So we've got a soft padded cell. Yeah, I mean, Chris Mulhall says, Mark, is it a padded cell supporting this team? I guess it is padded in some way. I mean, at least Bristol can just hurl himself at loads of cuddly toys if things do go wrong in the next 20 minutes. Chris also says Moyes not changing his status quo, no change until the 70th minute. I think we're all reasonably happy with that. I think on this occasion, he's sat tight, he's seen the danger, and he's reacted.
Oh.
So perhaps he's a little bit more. I've completely lost. West Ham have beaten Chelsea 2-1. I don't know what I'm saying here, Rio.
Rice has picked up a yellow. He's late on Pusic. Yellow
Absolutely
card.
Had to do it. Took one for the team. Great tackle. It's cost him a yellow, but so what? Yeah.
What worries me is the position of the free kick, though.
Yeah, dangerous position this for West Ham. Pinky, you're absolutely right. I think there. I mean, he's surging through, isn't he? Pulisic, he's going into the box. It's a necessary one.
If you're going to take him where we took him,
outside rather than inside. Yeah, for sure. Richie Riv, good to see you, Richie. On the chat, Richie just says while we're waiting for this to take place, splendid attire, Rio. Loving the look.
Invoking the memories of Paolo Di Canio against Chelsea.
It still fits.
Pinky, talk me through the free kick.
Well, he's 20, 22, 25 yards out, something like that. Willian's going to have a dink. Yeah, hits the post, there it goes. I mean, to be fair, it's a terrific free kick. What can you do? He's put it at the one spot where Fabianski couldn't really get to it, and yeah, they've got lucky. It's off the post and bounced in. 71
minutes. West Ham led until the 71st minute. But Williams' free kick, I mean, it's an absolute belter, really. I mean, Fabianski's at full stretch there, and he just can't reach it. Justified, no more have we been a bit hard done by there?
It was coming, I think. They were coming at us a lot more, and we'd survived a couple of scares prior to that. Again, no complaints about the yellow card other than there only seem to be sort of like players from one team going into the book at the moment. And, we've seen 3 or 4 challenges that were equally worthy of it. But one of those things, but we nearly cut one out there. But we've just got to be resolute now.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Good stuff. Thanks, Noam. Briz, any question marks about the wall there?
Well, I was watching it again. I think it's just a top drawer free kick. I think put it in the right spot. It's come in off the post, and it's you almost got another one then. But it's come in off the post, and I don't even do too much about it, to be honest. It's just a great free kick. Sometimes you just have to hold your hands up and say fair play to the bloke. Yeah,
sure. Rio, just over 15 minutes of normal time left to play. Chelsea now beginning to push on. Do you want to call this one? What do you think is going to happen? Can we hang on here? Can we even go and steal a winner at the? I've just seen a shot whistle past Fabianski's post. Can we still take 3 points, or is that as far as winning goes? We should just be sitting tight and taking the point here.
I'm a little bit worried now. Pulisic he's been excellent all game, and he's getting more and more dangerous since Giroud's come on. He's created that different option for him. He's been involved with a couple of chances. I don't think we can weather the storm, and that's a big fear for me.
Okay, worrying thoughts from Rio there. Pinky, 73, 74 minutes on the clock. We've made 2 changes. We've seen Wilshere come in for Lanzini. We have made 2 changes, and have I got that wrong? Are we still on just the one? We are still on the one, Breeze. Thank you. My apologies. I'm trying to look at 2 screens that I thought I'd seen a second. Glad to see you guys are paying attention. Yes, Pinky. So 1 substitution made. Moyes still has another 4 to go. Is it time for more changes now?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, we're looking a little bit tired, and an extra pair of legs, I think might help us. But who would I pull at this stage? Looking at probably Fornals, and maybe stick on Yarmolenko and just say, stand on one side of the pitch, you're our out ball, and everyone, when we win the ball, hoik it forward, Mick McCarthy style, and just keep the ball down the far end of the pitch as much as we can.
Yeah, I'm struggling to think of a time in the last 15 minutes when we've actually, broke with any intent or looked dangerous. Just looking at what we've got in the bench, a couple of youngsters there in Johnson and Lewis. Wilshere, of course, is already on Randolph in goal. Balbuena is our backup in case Ogbonna presumably can't last the full 90. Ayeti and Silva, I guess, I'm not really sure why they're there, quite frankly, because there doesn't seem to be any chance of either of those young lads coming on, which really leaves, as Pinky says, Yarmolenko and the much maligned Anderson. Noam, can either of those have an impact? Who would you bring on next?
I probably wouldn't be Anderson, to be honest. To be honest, it's who have we got out there that could replace Fornals and do that sort of do some sort of midfield up and down role. I don't know, maybe Yarmolenko just and rearrange things a bit to leave that go. Sorry. A through ball was played that was running through to Fabianski and it should have been left for him, but it wasn't. I know safety first and all that, but that should have been keeper's call. And we've got warming up now, so looks like another change is imminent. We'll get back to you when we see what it is.
Excellent. Rio, it's all getting a bit frenetic, isn't it, at the back now, where it's getting a bit worrying.
Yeah.
Challenge there by Angelo. Absolutely
okay,
out the top drawer. Yeah.
Let's come
Great
back
stuff.
now.
Okay, thanks. Rio, back to you.
Yeah, no, just that when we do get the ball, it's going straight back to it's like hot potato. We just can't keep hold of it.
Yeah.
And we can't keep inviting them on. The more we do that, the more danger we are. A corner coming up here. Just hope we can see it out.
Okay.
Punched out by Fabianski, and it's come to nothing, thankfully.
Okay. It looked like Fredericks wanted a goal kick for that one. Briz, was that the right decision, a corner there, do you think?
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, one comment I would like to make is that Chelsea's new strip looks like a pair of pajamas.
Yes.
Really odd. It kind of, I don't know. It looks like something you buy at Asda.
Yeah, we've not mentioned that, of course.
Now being made.
Yes, no.
And it's Bowen's coming off for Yarmolenko.
Do we think that's justified? Has Bowen been a little bit too quiet in the last 15 to 20 minutes, perhaps? To know?
He's been quiet the last few minutes, but he's always been a threat.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's flying a little bit as he comes off. But
okay.
I guess that's pretty much like for like to a certain degree. So
sure.
It's not really. I can't see that altering the structure of the team.
Okay,
thank
you.
I'll put Yarmolenko straight away just for the haircut. I mean, I don't know what his girlfriend or wife does for a living, but it ain't hairdressing, that's for certain. Absolutely diabolical. Diabolical.
That is, that is. Do you know, he actually looks a bit Wilshere-esque actually coming onto the pitch there, which could be I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Perhaps it might lull Chelsea into a full sense of security. No, go on, sorry.
You're behind us again. That's Wilshere.
Yes. No, so we have two subs on there anyway. So that's in line with what Moyes has done so far. Whether or not we'll see any more remains to be seen. Quickly looking at the chat, Lewis Aaron Trout says, now this is where we blow it. 22 points dropped from winning positions. Now 23. Will be 25. Well, that remains to be seen.
Great play there.
Pinky, go on.
Yeah, I mean, just lovely move down the right-hand side where Fredericks and couldn't see it. Yeah, worked the ball nicely to create the opportunity to get the ball crossed in, and nice to see some positivity at 78 minutes gone. We're still in this. Yeah,
I mean, we were just bemoaning the fact, weren't we, that we'd not seen West Ham really attack for the last 15, or at least since Chelsea scored. Breeze, go on, Noam, sorry.
It was before that. The Chelsea goal had been coming for about 10, 15 minutes, hadn't it?
Yeah, sure. Yarmolenko, the right call there, Breeze, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's really difficult. We've got such a shallow bench to actually bring players on. I think that the difference is you've seen Lampard make substitutions which have changed the game, fundamentally changed the game. They looked toothless before that. We made like-for-like substitutions and we're playing the same. But I think that's not too bad at the moment. If we can hold out, then yeah, I think it'll pay off. But we've just got such a shallow bench.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very good point. We've been critical of David Moyes and his changes in the last 2 or 3 games, but Rio, there really isn't that much of a choice there, is there? When you look beyond your Yarmolenkos and your Andersons, we're looking at Ayetis and Silvers and Johnsons. He doesn't have a great choice, does he?
No, and that's the worry when you're picking players who you think haven't got hope in hell of coming on unless there's an absolute dire emergency, like a fire or a flood or something like that. So it does leave us a bit threadbare. And the other players we have got at our disposal, Anderson, woefully out of form. Ayeti, who knows, Look great in Switzerland. East London's a different game.
Absolutely. Jumping into the KUMB4 match.
Oh, go on. Oh, ref.
Noam, talk to me. What's going on?
Well, it's given a goal kick.
Okay.
The ball managed to work its way through from Wiltshire, somehow through to Antonio. It was all a bit bobbly, and Antonio got to the ball first, played it against the goalkeeper, played it back onto Antonio, and
it's a real chance.
Don't get given against us. I think, yeah.
It's
gone for a goal kick, which is probably right. But now I think we're about to see the first Chelsea yellow card. Yeah.
Okay.
Williams pulled Cresswell back, and it's taken that long for the referee to notice them. But just cutting in there. Going back to that
Antonio chance, isn't that reminiscent of the one he scored? Was it Brighton or Southampton? He scored one very similar to that.
What, the one where it sort of bounced about?
The deflection.
My memory's going.
But yeah, I mean, that's Anderson. That's Antonio, isn't it? Just big and burly, getting his body in the way, and sometimes they pay off, and sometimes they don't. We are in the final 10 minutes. It is West Ham United 2, Chelsea 2 in tonight's big London derby. West Ham, the best, I think we can safely say that, the best performance out of the 3 so far since the Premier League return. We had a slightly dodgy start, ended the first half really strongly, had what should have been a certain goal ruled out, scored to equalise after a dodgy penalty for Chelsea, went 2-1 up with a great header from Souček before a superb Willian free kick made it 2-2. It's anyone's game. What's going to happen, Rio? Who's going to call it now? Is it going to end a draw, or is someone going to nick this at the end?
As residential prophet of doom tonight, it's going to happen. We're going to lose this.
Briz, are you going with that, or are you going to give us something a little bit more positive to look at?
I've supported us long enough. I agree with Rio.
Oh, another ball comes across, but thankfully nobody gets on the end of it. We really are riding our luck a little bit at the moment.
Okay.
The clearance, as ever, goes straight up towards Antonio, and as ever, it's coming straight back. We've got to try and keep hold of this ball a lot better.
Okay, good stuff. Pinky, I don't like to tempt fate, but if this does remain 2-2, we climb above Watford into 16th. That'd be really good, wouldn't it? Given the 3 games we've had.
Yeah, and I think on tonight's showing, maybe would be worthy of that. I think ultimately tonight, Ogbono has been excellent. Souček has played well. And I'm going to mention Antonio, because I think Antonio has worked his socks off.
Absolutely.
I think he's done a terrific job for the team. And I think we just about deserve a point here tonight. Whilst Chelsea dominated much of the first half, I think we were hard done by on a few decisions. A point would not flatter us too greatly tonight. So I hope we can hang on for it. I really do.
Good stuff. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. We have just over 5 minutes of normal time left to go, plus whatever injury time the referee deems necessary. The live Premier League table has West Ham in 16th place as we speak, above Watford on goal difference. West Ham goal difference being -19 to Watford's -20. Both teams would be on 28 points each if this is how it remained. A point clear of Aston Villa and Bournemouth, both on 27 points and both with a goal difference of -24. 1 point and 5 goals behind West Ham and Watford. I just wanted to touch quickly, actually, on the remaining games for those teams. Noam, go on.
Just Pulisic was running at the defence, and again, Ogbonna's challenge was superbly timed. It still bobbled away towards a Chelsea player, but it cut out the run superb. He's had a very good game, Ogbonna.
Yeah, he's been fantastic, hasn't he? Gentlemen, if you can keep an eye on the screen for me, because I'm just looking at the other side of mine, so eyes briefly off the match, just to look at Bournemouth's next few fixtures. Bournemouth go to Old Trafford this weekend. Their next 2 games after that are both at home against Tottenham and Leicester. After that, they travel to Man City. Briz, how many points do you see Bournemouth getting from those 4 games?
I think they're done. I think they're down. I think Norwich are down. I think it's between us, Watford and Villa now for the kind of remaining spot. I think you can write the other 2 off.
Yep, fair point. Rio, would you go along with that? Do you see Bournemouth getting anything from Man U, Tottenham, Leicester or Man City?
If it's the West Ham way, they'll get all 12. But realistically, no, I can't see them getting anything, to be honest. I think the Briz is right. They look like a team absolutely desperate and done and dusted.
Noam, Villa's next 4 matches aren't an awful lot easier. They go to Anfield next before hosting Manchester United. They then face Crystal Palace, sort of comfortably in mid-table, and then they go to Everton.
Sorry, as a long cross goes in, but that's been put away by Yarmolenko for a corner, which corners worry me. But I can't.
Well, let's stick with that. Let's stick with the corner for a minute before we come back to Villa's games. Talk us through it, Noam.
Well, we're just ball's gone out. Obviously, it takes a little while to get it back, but Yarmolenko sort of ball corners in now, and Alonso's just headed it over or wide, or combination of the two. So.
Okay, so let's come back to
Fabianski's taking his time getting the ball back. He's just had a bit of a swig of water because it's a warmish night, obviously, and
good stuff.
He's got good 10 yards to go and get the ball. That's
good stuff. Okay, so danger averted there. Yeah, just quickly coming back to those Villa games. Liverpool at home, Man United and Palace away, Everton at home, and then Everton away, and then they go to Arsenal before coming to us on the final day of the season. Doesn't seem like there's an awful lot of room for points there for Villa either. No. And Noam seems to have frozen. So Pinky, as in good Eurovision style, I'm going to come over to the Brentwood jury to answer that question, please.
Yeah, and there's a reason why the teams down the bottom are down the bottom.
Yep.
Is because they struggle to pick up points against almost anybody.
Yep.
I think where the table is now, us in 16th, Watford 17th, and Villa, Bournemouth, and Norwich. I think that's where it's going to finish. I said as much this week in the forum, and I think ultimately, it really is win the matches that matter. And unfortunately, for 1 or 2 of those teams, the Bournemouth result tonight against Newcastle was an absolute disaster for them.
Yeah.
And as for Aston Villa, they just can't get goals. And in this league, you need a goal every now and again. And I think they're likely to be doomed. So I think the bottom 3 right now at this moment, they're the ones that are gone.
Yeah, it's been another decent day for West Ham so far, Briz. I hate to speak before the game's actually finished because we're still playing out there. We are pretty much on full time now, but much improved performance for West Ham. Quickly looking at our fixtures, Briz, we go to Newcastle before we host Burnley. We then go to Norwich before we host Watford.
Come on, send it. We've got Yarmolenko.
1-1.
Oh, he's done it. Come on.
Oh, are we in?
Get in.
Yarmolenko.
Yeah.
Talk me through. Rio, tell us about it. Come on. What's going on?
We was entrenched in our 30-yard, like as per usual. The ball broke. Antonio fed it through, squeezed out Yarmolenko's in acres space, cuts inside and puts a lovely finish in the far corner.
It's a fantastic goal. West Ham are ahead. Pinky, what happened to Chelsea's defence? That was like us, wasn't it, against Tottenham? What's going on?
I think they've Chelsea have overcommitted men forward, and we've broken away. Great play by Antonio. I thought it just held on to it a bit too long, but he fed it through to Yarmolenko, cuts inside, pulls the trigger, and terrific goal. And you've got to say, David Moyes' decision's slightly been vindicated, because since he's brought on Dirty Jack and Yarmolenko, that's just given us just enough legs to get us over the line, I think. Well done, Moyes. He's got it right tonight.
Absolutely got it spot on, hasn't he? Briz, and probably what makes it even better is there's a shot now. We've just seen Frank Lampard absolutely seething on the sidelines. He must be gutted, mustn't he? 1-0 up against West Ham. Looked like they were cruising, and here they are facing almost certain defeat as we go into injury time.
Well, we're the bigger club, aren't we? He knows that, and that's a problem, isn't it? It's icing on the cake for us, really. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, Yarmolenko's worked his socks off since coming on. He's been brilliant. He defended well. He's attacked well. It's been absolutely different class. The second half, it's been different class from us. We've worked our socks off.
The forum is going absolutely mad. The KUMB match thread, there are posts flying in left, right, and centre. We can't believe it. We're going to beat. Let's see. We're not there yet. We're 3-2 up. We've got 4 minutes added on. We're just over one of the 4 added on minutes through. But West Ham are beating Chelsea. It's 3-2. We couldn't score a goal. We couldn't buy a goal before tonight. We've scored 4 tonight. We should have scored 4. One was perhaps very harshly ruled out. Doesn't even matter. We've scored 3 more. We're flying up the table, Pinky, at this rate. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, and the key here at this stage of the season, if you can put back-to-back wins together, it will just makes a massive difference. And for us, you were talking about the fixtures coming up.
Yep.
Our next game, Newcastle, hopefully on the beach, and just as our players are getting decent fitness, he's got his core group there. I think we could go to Newcastle, pick up a win there, and then we'll be sitting here in a week's time and just saying, crisis, what crisis?
What a carrot that is to dangle in front of the squad's face. Really, if it stays like this, West Ham are 30 points. We're 3 clear of Villa and Bournemouth. We've even got the luxury there of being able to let them take a win to catch up because of the 6 goal difference. We are only 3 points behind. We're looking up there, aren't we, Rio, rather than looking down, looking at Brighton?
Just looking at Lampard there, he's just seen Balbrainer come on, and I could just see it go through Lampard's head. If only I had a player of that class to bring on at this stage of a game. I mean, jealousy is not a good quality, young Frank. I tell you, that's but
he looks absolutely pissed, doesn't he, Lampard? He looks like, that's
or a penalty in front of our lot at the bridge and shake your fist, son. I don't think so. Yeah, it comes back to haunt you.
I think the only thing that's sad really now, Briz, about this is the fact that there isn't 60,000 West Ham supporters in that stadium giving it to Lampard.
He knows. He knows what would have been like if he didn't know.
Rio.
Yep.
Seconds to go. Is this it? Is this our first win since the restart?
Dare I say it, it's looking good. Kante's just put a shot wide. I just hope Fabianski takes as long as he possibly can to take this kick. We're going to do it. We've got 30 seconds left. Even I'm confident now. We're going to do this.
Pinky, take us through to the final whistle, my friend. We have seconds remaining. West Ham 3, Chelsea 2.
At the minute, cameras all on Moyes at the minute. Fabianski takes the goal kick, punts upfield, and clear foul going into, is that Souček just been clattered, or was it Yarmo? It's Souček. He's just been clattered, and he's gone down Sheringham style. We all know the type of free kicks he bought for us over the years. Lampard, I think now they've just shown him, he knows it's done. It's gone past the +4. I think when we take this free kick, the ref will blow up. If he doesn't, I'll encourage him to do so. So just punt it long. Get the wrist. Referee.
Time's up now. Surely that's it, Pinky. Yes.
It's close. I mean, he's trying to drag it out to give Chelsea something. Dirty Jack trying to run the ball into the corner. Hacked his man down there. Come on, referee, that's enough now. You know, it's 10:10. Kids have got school tomorrow or September maybe, and we've seen, we've been entertained enough. Yeah. Chelsea keeper with 5 A's in his name. That's it. We're done. Yeah, great win. And Lampard is sprinting down the tunnel.
West Ham United 3, Chelsea 2. Take that, Chelsea. What an incredible performance. No one gave West Ham a cat in hell's chance of winning this game. We didn't give West Ham a cat in hell's chance of winning this game. Well, that's actually not entirely true because I must remind you that Roshane Thomas, who was our guest on the podcast on Sunday, predicted West Ham would win by a single goal. So well done, Roshane, for getting those points. But forget that. This is amazing. West Ham are back. West Ham are looking much, much safer than we were 24 hours ago. West Ham are now 3 points clear of the relegation zone. And we have goal difference in our favour. We are now up into 16th place in the table. We move above Watford, who are on 28 points. West Ham have 30 points. We're only 3 points behind Brighton now. God, Briz, everything's looking rosy all of a sudden, isn't it?
Never had any doubts. It was just I think for me the difference was Souček in midfield.
Yeah.
He was box to box all game, supporting the front two. Just a great performance. I'm so over the moon for him. Absolutely over the moon for him.
It is. I mean, all of us have been watching West Ham for a few years, and I think the only surprise is that any of us are surprised, really, that West Ham could, lose in such dreadful style to Wolves and Tottenham, and yet come back and pull off a fantastic win like this. Pinky, you called it first there. Moyes absolutely vindicated tonight. Got everything right. 100%. 10 out of 10, yes, for the manager?
I think tonight he's called it right. And I think in fairness to him, and we touched on it the last couple of games as well, he's had a plan. He's sticking to it. And you could see tonight, the players were looking fitter because he's been keeping them on the pitch for a good amount of time. But his game plan tonight has been helped, undoubtedly, by Bonner, Rice, Souček, and Antonio putting in absolutely sterling shifts. No question about it. Very good result. And 20% of our points this season from Chelsea. Who'd have thunk it, eh? You've got to be devastated for the West London people. I mean, look at that.
Our first double of the season, and so shocked is Noam that he's disappeared from the stream and hasn't come back. So Noam, wherever you are, my friend, I hope you're okay, and we hope to get you back on perhaps for a bit of post-match bants in the next few minutes. Briz, your instant reaction to that win?
Well, again, I think Pinky summed it up. The plan was good. You could see the players were disciplined tonight. They knew what they were meant to do. Rice was absolutely outstanding as captain on the pitch. And if they give the armband back to Noble after Rice's performance, then it's criminal. He's been absolutely everything that you'd want from a captain tonight. He's marshalled the side. He's encouraged the players. He's put in a real captain's performance, and fair play to him.
Yeah, no doubt. He was immense tonight, and I think Pinky's already mentioned Ogbonna at the back. Souček was outstanding as well in the centre of the pitch. I think if you look throughout the team, you've got some great performances. We mentioned Antonio, who worked like a Trojan up front, ploughing a lone furrow in Chelsea's half. Bowen did an awful lot of tracking back as well. And I think one player that perhaps hasn't got as much credit as he deserves tonight is Lanzini. I thought he had a decent game tonight, Rio. I mean, he did a lot of defensive work, and we're just watching the Hammers on the Sky stream there, going absolutely Garrity at the final whistle. But if you had to pick a man of the match tonight, Rio, who would you go for? Lots of candidates.
It's a very tough call. I'd probably edge towards Souček, to be honest. I think he did an excellent box-to-box job, especially at the start of the second half as well. He made some vital touches.
Yep.
he's a really good at going forward. He's a great aerial threat. It'd be the first thing I'd do in the summer. Well, say the summer, once the season ends, is make sure that we keep him because he looks an absolute excellent prospect.
Absolutely. Briz, who would you call for man of the match tonight?
Well, I think it was close between Ogbonna and Souček, but I'm going to go Souček as well. I think that he really fired the side up. He different class tonight, and I thought he just put in a shift all 90 minutes. He was working his socks off. I thought he was great tonight. So yeah, Souček for me.
Pinky, if I had to force you to pick one of a good bunch, who would you go for?
Ogbonna. Yeah, for one challenge, and there was one challenge where he made a tackle that was Moore-esque.
Yep.
In the box, a high risk challenge, get it wrong, it's a certain penalty. Clean challenge, won the ball, prevented a goal scoring opportunity, and we've denied what I think is a pretty decent Chelsea team this season. And we've kept them to just the 2 goals, and we've banged in 3. Ogbonna for me tonight, but as I say, it could have been Rice, it could have been Souček, and it could have been Antonio, and I really would like to praise Antonio tonight. I think he was superb tonight, but Ogbonna made the crucial difference at the right moment for my money.
Some really good shouts there. I think if I would go for Rice, I think just purely because this is still a kid we're talking about. He's only 21, and he's done a really good job out there tonight. Thrust in as replacement for Noble as captain, constantly egging his teammates on as the game proceeded, led by example. You mentioned Ogbonna's tackles. Rice put some fantastic challenges throughout the game. All right, okay, one led to the second Chelsea goal, but Pinky, I think we all sort of agreed that was necessary anyway. It looked really dangerous. But isn't it refreshing, gentlemen, to have so many candidates for man of the match? Rio, just one thing I was wondering. Chelsea have played 2 games since we last played. Did that slight advantage work in our favour, do you think? Or do you think that would just be an excuse for Chelsea?
I think it's just been an excuse. Because to be honest, at times, I think Pinky mentioned it earlier, we did look a bit leggy in the second half. So, yeah, I just think Chelsea are going to clutch at straws to try and get an excuse to explain this defeat. And, yeah, you know what they're like. They just pinch at anything.
Yes. It's just a shame that the stadium's shut, isn't it, for a night like this? Just going to the chat in YouTube to get a few comments from some very, very happy West Ham supporters, as you can understand. Lewis Ehrentrout says, I bet Lampard is seething. Lewis, I bet he is, which is great. Oh, Gnome has popped up in the chat. And Gnome says, sorry, guys, phone died and I can't get back in on the link supplied. Gnome, if you want to try that again, I'll keep an eye. It may be that I didn't see you trying to get back in. So if you can try and log in again, my friend, I'll keep an eye out for it. Chris Mulhall, cool guys, bedtime here in South Africa. Thanks for sharing the last 90 minutes with us, Chris. Steve Palmer says, a win after so long. Thanks for sharing it with me, guys. Thanks for being with us, Steve. We've enjoyed your company. Neil from Down Under says, I've been a West Ham fan from afar for 55 years. That's a long time suffering, my friend. Jeff Randall and Pinky, perhaps this is one that you can answer. Jeff says, I think that's the end of Noble starting any of the remaining games. Do you think that Rice and Fornals have made it very hard for Moyes to use him on Sunday? I was going to say Saturday there, on Sunday at Newcastle?
No, I mean, I don't think it's the end of Noble starting games. I think the injury might prevent him.
Yeah.
But I think if he miraculously got fit within the next week, I think we'd certainly see him again. But let's talk more about the players who actually started tonight. For my money, because we spoke in the first game when Haller suddenly went missing, and did that disrupt the manager's plans? Well, tonight he's had another late change, and he's still managed to get the team out there, compete, and come away with all 3 points. And so the lads that started tonight have done the job. They really have. So never mind Mark Noble. I think we'll just stick to praising the boys that played tonight. And Yarmolenko, he's come on a sub. He's not played a lot of football this year, and one chance, and he takes it. And at this level, that's the difference. It really is the difference. Fabulous stuff.
Yeah, let's talk about that goal, because I think we were just experiencing too much joy at the time to really enjoy the quality of the strike, Rio. Okay, he was given the as much space as he could have possibly hoped for with the Chelsea defence sort of going missing there. But as Pinky says, it was a great finish, wasn't it? Cut inside, buried it in the corner.
Absolutely. It's a typical Yarmolenko one. He does it time and time again. He's a wonderful player when he's fit. That's the thing. He's suffered so many injuries in his time at Dortmund and here that you wonder what we missed out on. But when he does things like that, it's a joy to behold.
Especially against Chelsea in the 90th minute. I think we'll all take great joy from that. Gnome, just quickly, this one's for you. There is a new link in the mods forum. If you want to get back in, just go over to there and click on that, my friend. A few more comments from the chat. Russ Picking, great result, chaps. Villa going down. Well, they're going to be up against it now, aren't they? Clowns Broadcasting says, chin up, Junior. I think we're all feeling that one tonight. Just going to jump back into the Knees Up Mother Brown match thread. As you can imagine, it's all gone a bit mental on there. Everyone posting tonight. Toilet Duck says, I'm touching myself tonight. Well, good luck for you. Good for you, young man. I hope you have great fun. Wormley, brilliant. Well done, Moyes. Credit where it's due. A huge sigh of relief in the boardroom. And Ironing Board calling it correct too. So I missed Ironing Board's prediction, but there you go. Georgie Paris, bloody brilliant. Well done, West Ham. And unbelievably well done, Moyes. Aging Hammer says Antonio ran his huge bollocks off. Morthweir Moore says never in doubt. Neath Iron. We seem to have a lot of Welsh hammers around tonight, which is good to see. Wow, I haven't felt this chuffed after result for a very long time. Absolutely superb to come away with all 3 points. Justice was done after that VAR debacle. Thought Rice was immense tonight. Definitely one of our stronger players and one of several candidates for man of the match there, Neath. Burnley Hammer says, shall I start the next match thread? I told you all. Too many non-believers on here. Burnley, the job is yours for the rest of the season, my friend, if you'd like to take it. If you can bring us that much luck. Guru991, well played, West Ham. Great victory. Exiled in Cardiff. Another one of our Welsh hammers. You can stick your VAR. We got YAR. Like that. Ironing Board, what a game. Great result. Ironing Board, your man's done it tonight, my friend. Pulled one out of the bag there, hasn't he? Plasto Iron, a little bit closer to home. Great finish by Yarma, but the desire to run the length of the pitch is what made it possible. So much more effective than Anderson. I'd start him and Bowen against the Geordies. He makes things happen. Briz, has Yarmo pushed himself into the first team picture by scoring that goal?
I don't think so. I think it was a great goal. It started by Rice, by the way. It worked from the back of our own box and moved up the pitch. But he's a great substitute. He's come on well. Like Rio, I think he's still struggling with his injuries, and I would start this team again, the same on Sunday, and keep him on the subs bench, to be honest.
Good stuff. Good stuff. We are 5 once again. Noam is back with us after his brief exile. I hope everything's all right, my friend. Good to see you back. I haven't asked you for your reaction to tonight's outstanding result yet. What are your brief thoughts?
Did I miss anything? No. Well, I mean, everybody's saying chaff doesn't begin to sort of cover it, really. Yeah, I mean, justice was done purely because over that disallowed goal. PGMOL have come up with a thing saying that Antonio, his head was in an offside position and he was in the line of sight of the keeper. Well, yeah, but so a lot of things that also didn't interfere with the play You know, they had to really scrape the barrel to try and come up with an excuse to disallow that one. Yeah, very pleasantly surprised. I mean, that's first time in 16 games we've gone behind and and actually got anything out of the game, let alone a win. The winning goal was you probably covered this, but it was just quality.
Yeah.
Superb football. Antonio, who is probably ran so much of his legs off that he's probably a foot shorter now. Did what he'd done a few times. He doesn't always do it, but he held the ball up well and turned in the right direction. Of course, Yarmolenko was the positioning was perfect, and it was a fantastic finish. You know, I'd like to apologise to my neighbours for the scream of delight that uttered from there. You know, unusually from this place, it was football. And, no, couldn't be more pleased for them. But they played well, rode their luck a few times. Yeah, got to put our hands up and say that. But Sodom, it's Chelsea. That's the double over them.
It is, indeed, it is.
I've got Ginger Pele's on the books at the moment, and he's trying very hard to conceal the grin, but he's not quite succeeding. So, but I mean, they're showing Antonio's goal at the moment now, and yeah, this was sort of early on in the second half when we were playing very, very well, and we were taking the game to them, and you know, at that point, 2-1 did not flatter us. We were worth that. And I still think that was a penalty, by the way. You know, he's got his hand all over it. It's certainly more of a penalty than the one that was given.
Yeah,
he's pulled his shirt off his back nearly. You can see the shirt being tugged. Was
it not a little bit dramatic by Antonio though? Regardless,
well,
he got up quick enough, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he got up quick enough, but I mean, you know, we seem to be giving penalties for dramas now. I mean, you know, I'm told that if there's minimal contact, it's a penalty. It's not, but you know, if he's going to give one, he's giving the other. And
sure.
You know, we saw all sorts of stuff from the referee. Not just the big stuff, which will be debated today, but you know, the number of yellow cards issued. Now, I wouldn't complain about any of ours, but again, I'd say, well, if those are yellow cards, why wasn't it a yellow card 5 minutes ago? You know, but you know, at times we did feel like we were playing, you know, an extra man there, and not for the first or I suspect the last time this season. But no, I think the accepted fate is over the moon.
Yes, yes, Brian. Well, I think we're all over the moon after watching that, and definitely, Pinky, we're all feeling far more positive than we were about 2 hours ago going into this game, with the final 6 games of the season to go now.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, we had to overcome a few setbacks in that game, which showed a great bit of character by the team. But just looking at that goal by Antonio there, as we replayed it, the way we worked the ball to get in behind Kante as their defensive screen was very, very skillful, and Rice absolutely at the heart of that. So he played a big part in that Antonio goal in getting the ball into the right position. So there's a huge number of positives, and one of the big positives is if you're a Bournemouth player, if you're an Aston Villa player, you're looking at that result for us tonight and you're going, bloody hell, West Ham have just done Chelsea. And they're all going to bed tonight and they're going, we're done for. And the psychological impact of beating one of the top 6 clubs that it has on the teams in the bottom 6 is enormous. And that's almost worth an extra point. I think we can go to Newcastle and give them a very good game of football, because for us now, a win would be great at Newcastle, but a point's decent. You know, the pressure's off us a little bit.
Yeah, it absolutely changes everything, doesn't it, really? We thought that we'd be going to St James's Park pretty much, you know, as you say, with the pressure on from a psychological perspective, really needing to get a win, or at the very, very least, you know, a point up there. We can play Rio with a bit more freedom now, can't we? With those 3 points in the bag.
We can, but I'd still try and set out a little bit in the way we did today, because today we set up as an away team, soaking up the pressure. I think it's the way to go for Saturday's game. Sorry, Sunday's game as well. Although we're a little bit more comfortable, we're still not out of the woods yet. And you know what West Ham are like.
The shape of the team, Gnome, seemed to be a little different tonight. Perhaps we're not being critical of Mark Noble, but I just think that with Rice and Souček in the middle, it gave us a little bit more energy, perhaps. And there was a little bit more pace and you know, bite. Perhaps, obviously, as you would expect with players at, you know, the age of 21 and 24, 25, whatever Souček is, as opposed to Mark, who's, you know, a little bit older. This is down to Moyes. I mean, again, more praise for David Moyes, isn't it?
Yeah, fair play. I mean, this is one of those decisions that I understand it was a late injury for Noble. I haven't seen confirmation of that. But I believe that to be the case. So it's one of these things that was kind of forced on him a little bit. And you know, I have a strict rule: player or opponent, you know, West Ham player or opponent, I never wish injury on anyone. But I think that it should give Mr. Moyes a bit of food for thought for Sunday.
Yeah,
you know, that's worked. And you know, assuming everybody's fit, assuming everybody's, you know, sort of not completely knackered, because that was a very, very massive effort today. No two words about it. I couldn't look at one player and say, you know, you're not pulling your weight there. I saw Lanzini track back and put in a tackle.
Yeah.
You know, we've mentioned Fornals does a lot of the unheralded donkey work, you know, sort of trying to get up and down and but just showed, I've got the Sky on in the background there, and they just showed the third goal again.
Yeah.
And Fornals, I mean, Antonio's role was massive in that. The ball came out, Antonio played it back to Fornals, who gave it to Antonio, who then played it round the corner. The second that Antonio played that ball out to Yarmolenko, Fornals had his head down. He was busting to get into that box.
Yeah.
And, you know, it just come from, we've mentioned it before, it just come from his own penalty area. I've got to praise Antonio. Not every time, but the ball, the ball didn't ping off him quite so much. He caused problems. He did hold the ball up a lot better than he has been doing. And I mean, evidence of that, again, the goal at the end, where it was an intelligent sort of, it came off him, but it was an intelligent chest back.
Yeah.
And the ball through to Yarmolenko was inch perfect. It couldn't have been better. And as I say, lots of people had fine games out there. Rice, I heard Pinky when I was when you wouldn't let me in earlier on, and I heard Pinky praising Ogbonna, and I'd probably go with that. There were a number of perfectly timed challenges.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not an exaggeration to say some of those were Moore-esque. You know, for those of us who are that old. So yeah, I'm very, very chuffed with the performance, and I mean, it may have taken a spot of injustice to get them going. I can imagine the halftime talk. The psychology of it would have been, you know, look, you should be 2-1 up here, or 2-0 up even. You know, you know, yeah, they're good, but you know, you should be beating them. You know, there's only one man out there preventing you from beating them. So go and score some more, and you know, see what other unusual ways they're going to run out of ways to try and disallow goals.
Yeah. It's interesting that, isn't it? That yeah, I mean, Pinky, you spoke about, you know, the psychology of the game. Perhaps that feeling of being unjustly denied that opening goal actually served to benefit us in the long run, by, you know, driving the players on to write what they saw as you know, a really bad call by the it's not by the referee, but by VAR.
Yeah, and I think very much so. You know, I mean, imagine you're a Premier League player, you're fighting for survival in the league in which you earn your corn.
Yeah.
Who knows what they've all got in their contracts about what happens if you get relegated and all the rest of it. And there'd have been a sense of injustice to which, well, there's only one thing you can do about it, and go and actually prove VAR wrong, prove the ref wrong, and you do that by beating the opposition. And I thought there was some terrific team spirit out there tonight. That is for certain. And the character to really hang on there at the end and push for a win, fabulous stuff. But just picking up on Noam's point about Antonio there, where he's saying about the ball didn't tend to bounce off him quite as much as it has in the last couple of games. It's his fitness. He's getting fitter. And we know with Antonio and other occasions where we've seen him out injured for sustained periods, it would normally take him half a dozen matches to get back to the sort of level that we'd expect him to be at.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of a bit of a slow starter in that regard. So I think he'll just get stronger and stronger with each passing game. And that's a real positive for us. Dare I say it, maybe Mr. Moyes is putting all that experience to some good use, and he did have a plan.
Yes, well, I mean, whatever he did right tonight. And really, I was just going to come back quickly to where we spoke briefly about Noble being, injured before the game. It's funny, isn't it, sometimes football, how it works like that. I mean, we can cast our minds back to, I think it was 2004, 2005, when injury forced Elliot Ward and Anton Ferdinand together as a central defensive pairing. And, the rest is history. It's odd, isn't it, sometimes how it works that way?
Very much so. And as been said, sometimes these little catalysts can lead to bigger things, and better things. We all know that Mark's in the twilight of his career. And we've seen tonight that two driving box-to-box midfielders work really well. And that is going to be the future for us. And tonight it worked against a really good opposition. Let's see again on Sunday if it can also produce the goods. Hopefully it will, and we can drive on from there. And
also, I guess we may benefit from having, even Seb Haller to choose from as well, Noam, when it comes to Newcastle on Sunday. So maybe a few, selection problems for Moyes of the right, of the positive variety.
Be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, I don't know how close Haller is to fitness. And Pinky touched on Antonio's fitness. And of course, I mean, the effort he put in today was massive. We've got the extra day to recuperate than you'd normally have on a Sunday. So I kind of see, firstly, if Haller's fit, well, then I'd think about it. But I'd kind of check on, sort of how Antonio's feeling, because the fitness is getting better, but I don't think he's 100% yet. Yeah. And again, it is deceptive because he always seems to look tired. But I'd be tempted to actually go with a similar lineup if everyone's fit and ready.
Yes, it's again, it goes back to what we were saying a few moments ago, I guess, that perhaps the manager's found his best 11 sort of by, accident in a way. Just touching quickly on a few comments in the chat. Chris Dalby says, Antonio gets pass of the evening to Yarmolenko for the goal. It's so easy to leave that short or too long, and it was perfect weight, wins us the game. It's a really good point that I think we touched on here just a few moments ago as well. Noam, I'm obviously going back a little bit here, but Noam says Sky gave man of the match to Antonio. So,
yeah, you were talking about something else, about you were going through who your man of the match was.
Yes,
and of course it just came up, so I thought I'd advise you with that. Yeah, just try to be helpful, even though I couldn't get on.
Just taken me about 15, 20 minutes to get round to reading it out. Michael Walby says, what a win, boys and girls. Great result. And Jamieson Husbandson says, best game for a long time. Brilliant. Steve Spraggs, the one and only Cockney Hammer. What a result, he says. I am buzzing. And I think we all are, mate. Fantastic win. Over on the forum, the mood is much the same as you would expect on the KUMB match thread. Junko Partner says, enjoyable evening. Delighted for Yarmo. Deserves a run in the team more than most. Crouch End Amma says, Antonio's post-match interview, smiley, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Noam, you're the only one who probably saw that out of the lot of us. Did you see that?
It was just as I came back on here, so I had the sort of volume turned down. Just as I was getting in, but
Okay.
They mentioned to him. They said something about that last goal. Quite apart from everything else, was quality, and he was beaming at it because he knew he'd had a point in this. Just showing yet again the disallowed goal, and they're saying that Antonio's in his eye line. Not if he's looking at the ball. He's looking over Antonio at the ball. Antonio's got absolutely no interference with that at all, and that's basically just we can disallow it, so we're going to. And they've just had David Moyes on in the background as well. I've got the subtitles up just to see if he's saying anything, and he's just said, I'm not. I've completely lost faith in VAR. It simply isn't working. It just proves if you've got a poor referee, he's still going to be a poor referee if he's refereeing a match on telly or on the pitch.
Yeah. No, I think that's perfectly understandable from Moyes'
John
perspective.
Moss, by the way, is the fourth official.
Excellent. We've had a few issues with him, of course, in the past. Couple more comments from the match thread, and we should also credit Monkey, of course, who said that he thought. Do you remember back at the start of the second half, Monkey Bubbles Rio said he thought Chelsea were there for the taking, didn't he? So
yeah, I do apologise. I've stuck some gin in this, so we're all level now.
Apologies all round, Monks. You called it. Well done for that one. Puff Daddy, our old friend from the forum, says, I didn't think much of Chelsea, to be honest, but that takes nothing away from us. Good performance and a couple of standout players who bust a gut for the shirt. 3 more points makes us safe, I reckon. Pinky, I think we're going to need a little bit more than just 3 points, don't you?
Yeah, to be 100%, but I think the table is now where the table's going to finish. The points tally might change, but that's a real hammer blow to the clubs around us. The fact that we've done it, not just winning 3-2, but actually scoring 4 times. Any fair observer would say we put the ball 4 times in Chelsea's net tonight. That's a decent return, by any standards. And I think perhaps if I was a Chelsea supporter, which thank the Lord and all that, I might be looking at young Frank Lampard and thinking, you've still got a bit to learn there, because you've ultimately lost that game because you threw too many men forward trying to win it. And credit to him that he's trying to win matches, but that'll be sucked out of him in terms of enthusiasm. And eventually he'll learn how it's better not to lose. And I'd say tonight, David Moyes got it right. Frank Lampard got it slightly wrong. And then that was a key difference. The experienced manager did just enough tonight.
I really feel happy for Moyes. He's had an awful lot of criticism. We've made the point on here that he has faced. It's not just the last 2 games. I think if you look at the matches he's had since Christmas, there's probably not too many games against teams in and around us that we've really done poorly. And I mean, okay, Brighton, we were 3-1 up, cruising towards 3 points, and then we should have won that game, of course. But a lot of the games we've played, we played Liverpool twice, Man City, with Tottenham, Wolves, teams that are in and around that Champions League. The Champions League positions. So perhaps some of us were being a little bit harsh on him. But of course, one swallow does not a summer make, as they say, and there's still a long way to go. And, we have 30 points on the board now, Rio. How many points, judging by what we've seen in the first 3 games from Villa and Norwich and Bournemouth, do you think it's going to take to secure survival this season?
I'm thinking about 36, to be honest.
Okay.
37 to be absolutely safe, but 36. we've just got to make sure that we do not lose the games that we've got against Watford and Villa. That's the key.
I think that is a really good point. You know, those, Norwich perhaps, isn't so important now as it probably appeared 24 hours ago, known. But would you go along with Rio there that 36, 37 points would be enough? Or do you think we're going to need perhaps 3 more wins to be, absolutely sure?
I don't like thinking a certain number of points is going to be safe. I was just looking, they just showed the forthcoming fixture list. And the games we've got, 4 wins out of those last games shouldn't be beyond us. Those being Burnley, Watford, Norwich and Villa on the last day. That should not be beyond us. So what would that give us? That's 12. So that's
42.
42.
Magic 42 again.
Oh no. So, that's what we should be aiming for. Not thinking, another couple of wins will be safe. We should be, sort of aiming for, as many points as we can get. And then, hopefully that will be. 37, 38, maybe safe enough, but I'm not trusting of other teams, and I'm certainly not trusting of the match officials that will guarantee anything at the moment. So, let's get to 42 and then regroup.
We did touch earlier, Pinky, didn't we, on the remaining fixtures for our fellow relegation candidates, chiefly Aston Villa and Bournemouth. Just looking back again at that, now we've got a little bit more time to discuss that outside of the match. Once again, Villa's remaining games are they go to Anfield this weekend, this Sunday, and I think it's very difficult to see them getting anything out of that. They then host Manchester United, who, of course, are banging line again for, they're in contention for a Champions League spot. Crystal Palace at home following that. Palace probably been the surprise team so far this season. They've done very, very well. They then travel to Everton, which is always a difficult fixture. Their penultimate game of the season is their final home game of the season against Arsenal, who started dreadfully, but very, very up and down. You never know what to expect from Arsenal. And then, of course, they come to Stratford for the final day of the season. How many points realistically, Pinky, out of those 6 games do you see Villa getting?
None. Seriously, none. Yeah. I think their race is run now. I think Rio made a really good point about it's about the games we must not lose, because that's about denying other teams around us the opportunity to win 3 points.
Uh-huh.
Even if you share a point, it means that there's 2 that they can't get. And the clubs that they're going to be up against, Liverpool, they were always going to win the league after the restart, and yet they've worked incredibly hard to make sure that they do. I think Klopp is bound to make some changes and give 1 or 2 players a day off. But we've seen him play some youngsters this season that have come in and look very good prospects. So they'll have something to prove. I think Solskjaer with Man United, he'll be pushing hard, because with the Man City situation being banned from European competition, there's a potential Champions League spot still up for grabs. And that's why I think tonight, Frank Lampard there tonight, he knows tonight that was a really bad defeat for him, because again, with Leicester having been turned over by Everton, that was a chance for Chelsea then to cement a place in those Champions League spots. Now they've still got to keep working. So, Villa, their fixtures, it isn't looking good. But another point, if I may briefly just make, is in terms of why are we in this position yet again?
Yeah.
And I would like the chairman of West Ham United Football Club to explain to supporters why, when there was a cash squeeze, he was able to issue or ask for a rights issue that has raised £30 million, and yet the same £30 million from the same shareholders wasn't available last August to buy a proper strike partner for Haller, rather than waste £8 million on a jetty if we'd had another 25, say, million pounds in the pot, could we have gone and got a decent strike partner that allowed us to get the best out of Haller as well, or actually buy a proper reserve goalkeeper so that we weren't leaking goals all autumn? So we skimped on the money last summer, as incredible as that might sound after some of the players we've signed. But again, it's only when we're in desperate straits financially have the board managed to find miraculously the 30 million pounds down the back of the sofa. If they'd spent the money last August, they might not have needed to spend the money this July. And I'd quite like the chairman to explain why they were holding back, because they do it time and time again.
Yeah, some really good points there. And let's hope perhaps when the season is over that we can get some answers to some of those questions. It's, you touched on the reserve goalkeeper situation there. And we spoke about this in one of our other shows last week, just saying that you can't underestimate just how much trouble that put us in with Roberto in goal. We had a good start, didn't we? We started the season well, and Roberto came in, and we went on that dreadful run of results that's really led us to where we are today. But I think the thing that you'd say about that, Rio, isn't that just West Ham for time, or since time immemorial, that you go back to, I think we can go back as far as 85, 86, I think is probably the biggest example of, the team or the squad being in a really good position and then failing to push on with the board at the time, not backing the manager, who, of course, at that time was John Lyall. And we know what the outcome of that was 2 or 3 years later, with the team relegated, Lyall sacked, and the club probably never recovering since. But Rio, hasn't that always been a problem at West Ham, that the board has never gone out on a limb for the manager and backed him when it's necessary?
Absolutely. It's in our DNA. The only thing is, why haven't we learned from past lessons? Why do we still keep going for this ridiculous charade? Particularly under the new regime, was Golden Sullivan. We do not have a plan for our transfer policy. It's always knee-jerk. 1 year we're short of keepers, we buy 2. Next year we're short of strikers, we buy 4. Nothing is ever set in stone. There's no clear plan. We've been searching for a defensive midfielder for the last, I think, since their reign started, to be honest. And we're still lacking one. We've got Soucek, but he's on loan now. Who's to say that his impressive performances since he's been with us won't attract other suitors? And we're back at square one again.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I think we have an obligation, don't we, to buy Soucek in the event that we avoid relegation. So one would hope that's kind of ring-fenced to some degree. But as you rightly say, with West Ham, you never really know. We've said we think somewhere between 30. I'll tell you what would be interesting, actually, if we look back, and I might do this in the week, is look back over recent seasons and try and work out what the average points required to avoid relegation is. And no, I wouldn't mind betting it's somewhere around the 36, 37 point mark. I mean, obviously, when we went down on 42 points at the end of 2002-03 was a real anomaly. But would you say that's probably accurate? It's going to be around 36, 37?
I do know it's well under the mythical 40-point thing that everybody says is what you aim for.
Yeah.
It's very rarely has anybody gone down. I had it in my head, and I don't know if this is accurate or not, but I had it in my head it was 37 would normally see you stay up.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I've read that somewhere. But don't quote me on that. But you can go and do the research on that one.
We have stayed up with 34 once, haven't we, as well?
With Zola?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it does vary greatly, doesn't it? I mean, I wouldn't mind. There you go. There's a challenge now. I'll do that then later this week. I'll find out, and we'll run a little news item to discover exactly what that figure is. Just want to touch quickly on the comments in the chat. Our friend Briz had to leave to take a phone call. Briz, if If you want to come back and join us, my friend, for the last 10, 15 minutes or however long we've got left, please do. Please come and have a final say if you're about. Horsebox, whoever that may be, asks, is that the pink Palermo? I think the title on the screen is probably a bit of a giveaway there, Horsey, but it is indeed our friend, Mr. Pink Palermo from the forum.
If I owe him or her money, then the answer is no. Okay. And, that's can't say fairer than that.
So let's have a little bit of a recap then. It's been a fantastic night for West Ham. We were all really despondent after the Spurs game, really, down in the dumps. And we thought we thought Bournemouth might get something tonight and we'd be going into this game, let's not forget, in the relegation zone. If Bournemouth had taken a point at home to Newcastle, we would have started this game in 18th. And been looking upwards, and then the psychology that Pinky has spoken so well about tonight would have been completely changed once again. It didn't work out that way. We went into the game knowing that we would stay where we are unless we lost by 5 goals. Rio, I think you and I were possibly a little bit concerned that might be the case. In the end, I don't know why we worried. We've won 3-2. We've scored 4 perfectly good goals. 1 chalked off, which had known absolutely seething for a while, and rightly so, I think. But here we are. I mean, 30 points. It's taken us 32 games to get to 30 points this year. But we are, as things stand, 3 points clear of the relegation zone and going into Newcastle, a much happier bunch and a much happier squad, Noam.
Yeah. Sorry, while you've been doing that, I've just actually got the research done for you. Would you like to know the fruits of my labour?
Off you go.
Okay. Over the past 23 seasons, the highest team to go down, the 18th place team, has averaged 35.6 points. So 36 points would have been enough to stay up on at least 11 occasions. Teams with 37 points would have retained their Premier League status in 16 of the past 23 seasons, and the lowest points tally to stay up, which was West Brom in 2004-05, was 34 points. So this was the summary at the end of last season. The mythical 40, it does add, the mythical 40-point barrier was not enough for West Ham in 2002-03. 42 points is the highest ever for a relegated side. And only 2 other teams have finished in the bottom 3 with 40 points. Sunderland in 96-07 and Bolton Wanderers the following season. So there you go. 37 is usually enough.
That is absolutely fantastic. Couldn't ask for more from our very own Mr. Stato there. But yeah, I mean, I think that goes to show that that mythical 40-point mark that you refer to is really just the point, I guess, at which you feel 95%. You can't say 100% safe, because, as you say, there 3 teams have gone down with that amount of points or more, although not since 2002. It's quite interesting that you said 96 Sunderland and 97 Bolton, was it, who went down with 40 points, and then us 5 years later on 42, but none since then. So so anyway, we're looking at that and we're saying 3 more wins. Pinky, we're safe, aren't we? Without a doubt.
Yeah, I've been comfortable all week because I think we've been helped out with other teams' failings. I think the timing of other teams not getting the points they needed has helped us as well.
Yep.
And I think tonight's result is just a hammer blow to the clubs that we are competing with, who were probably banking on Chelsea turning us over tonight. And every one of those clubs at Aston Villa, players at Aston Villa, at Watford, are going to go to training tomorrow, and the first thing they're going to be saying to each other is, "You see, bloody West Ham last night, they only went and beat Chelsea," and that's in their heads, and their managers will not get those thoughts out. And I'd even go as far to say we'll finish above Brighton now. So I'll move us up a place in my head. We're going to move up from 16th to 15th is where we're going to finish. So that's how confident I am at this point.
I was going to say that result brings Brighton back into the scrap, I'd say. I mean, if we're in it, we're only 3 points shy of them.
Well, yes, that's I think we touched on that when you were off briefly.
Oh, right, sorry.
Oh,
you weren't talking about me then.
But I mean, yes, of course. I mean, Brighton have got some. Let me see while we're here. Let me see if I can pull up Brighton's remaining fixtures, because I mean, of all the teams, I think since the restart, this has really worked in their favour, hasn't it, Rio? Because they didn't have a win in 2020 before that last gasp win against Arsenal. They then went to Leicester and held Leicester. All right, they had a difficult time against Man U and went down 3-0. But they go to Norwich next week, so I guess they'll be looking at that thinking, we win this is our 36 points, and that's, we only need to pick up a point or a win somewhere and we're safe. After that, though, they play Liverpool at home. They play Manchester City after that at home. And then they're looking at Southampton, Newcastle and Burnley. Is it possible that they could lose all five or and as Noam says, drag themselves back into it? Or in your view, are they safe now with those fixtures they've got left?
I think they're pretty much safe. They've done the hard work in the first 3 or 4 games back. The Man United result apart.
Yeah.
Three results against the odds. As long as they don't lose to Norwich, I think they're safe.
Okay. So we still think, I think we're probably looking at the 5 then overall as, candidates still to go down. Just trying to find while I'm talking Watford's remaining fixtures. So Pinky, Watford face Chelsea next, which will be an interesting proposition. They then host Norwich and Newcastle. Then there's the big one, West Ham, Watford. And then they face Man City and Arsenal in their final 2 games. So it's not looking easy for Watford. I mean, Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal, they've got to be looking at the game against West Ham, Pinky, as one they've got to win, haven't they, really?
Yeah, and which brings us back to Rio's earlier point. Whilst I hope we try and win that game, what is absolutely vital is we don't lose it.
Uh-huh.
The 2 points, that we can deny them is everything. Because if we restrict them to just a point or no points, they're as good as done, because they're not beating Man City. They're really not. And I don't think they'll even beat Arsenal. And Arsenal are no great shakes. So, it's leagues within leagues. For us now, 2 real games that matter for us now are Villa and Watford. They're the 2 games. And I kind of hope Villa hang on long enough to the last game of the season, where hopefully we're safe and they're clinging on somehow, because I would just love to send them down. Just Jack Grealish. Who the hell are you, son? Talk about legend in your own lunchtime. I'd just love to see his little broken-hearted face. Aston Villa, you're absolutely crap. You're going down. Bang, in it goes. I just want to see it.
A touch of Schadenfreude for the final day of the season, hopes Pinky. Jamieson Husbandson says apparently Moyes thinks 40 points is required. I don't think any of us would agree with that, but it certainly make us safe for the end. Just wondering, actually, Pinky, if Villa are out of it, if they're definitely relegated by the time we go to that final game, does that benefit West Ham if we still need something or not? Are they playing with a certain freedom? Would it be better for us if they need a result or not still in that game?
No, I think in all honesty, if they were safe and we were sweating, I'd rather that, if it came to that, they'll be on the beach, come what may, and I'd always rather play a team that has the potential to be on the beach. And I don't quite buy this, they'll play with freedom and they'll suddenly start free scoring, total football nonsense. they're in the wrong end of the league for a reason, and the reason is they're crap. Yeah, and we're in and around them for most of the season for the same reason. But for us, very specifically, we got our recruitment badly wrong on a backup goalkeeper, and that's cost us a lot of points. And you think back to when the players were looking behind them and they're saying, Roberto's in goal, we're done for. And that can't be good for any team. Whereas you look at tonight's performance, even when Chelsea grabbed some goals, the players' heads weren't going down to the extent where they thought, well, we're doomed now, because one will be two, will be three, will be four, yeah, and just that one issue, that one bad bit of recruitment has cost this club very, very dearly. And I would love to know, and I'm sorry to be a bit negative here, how we sanctioned his signing, who's authorised it, what were we thinking when we actually offered him a professional contract in the Premier League? What were we doing? And I cannot think of any other club that would sign a keeper so obviously poor as a backup. It's just such a massive gamble, and it smacks a little bit of maybe someone was doing a favour for somebody else kind of thing, a bit of unfinished business at a club they all used to work at kind of thing. And for my money, if I was David Sullivan, I'd be, when I dragged in Pellegrini and said, you're on your toes, son, yeah, I'd have been arguing and negotiating very hard on his payoff and saying, never mind me giving you money to leave, yeah, you spent a lot of our money on a really bad signing. And take me through your thought process, Manuel. If for no other signing, he should be finished in football for that one signing. It's a dreadful signing, and it's just ruined our season completely.
And it absolutely has, as we've discussed earlier. Definitely questions to be asked at the end of the season once all this is over, and hopefully West Ham have managed to avoid relegation. As we've said throughout the evening since the final whistle, we're certainly looking a lot better position than we were 2 or even 3 hours ago. Just touching quickly on the chat box, great to have so many of you with us in this post-match discussion. Hopefully you're all joining us on the KUMB forum in the match thread as well, posting in both. Adrian Harvey says Watford fans think they are down, so that's quite interesting. I'm sure that'll be a common theme amongst those teams in and around us following this pretty incredible win for West Ham tonight. Smasher Buckdorin says, evening boss, 35 points will be more than enough. Massive win tonight. Credit all round. Definitely agree with that one, Smasher. Nick Fulbert, Bournemouth and Norwich look like dead men walking. Villa's fixtures look terrible, so odds on them being the third team. Again, I don't think there'll be any issues or complaints or arguments with that analysis, Nick, from the team here. Adrian Harvey, in reference to Pinky's comments on Roberto, says, I think we were thinking he's cheap. So, yeah, probably something in there. But as always, it's interesting to listen to Pinky's theories, and who knows? I mean, there's a very interesting comment there about potentially owing someone a favour. It beggars belief when we look at the way he performed Rio, why someone would okay, we didn't pay a transfer fee for him, but he was obviously on reasonable wages as a Premier League player. It does beg a belief in retrospect how anyone could look at Roberto and think he was anywhere near Premier League quality.
The only other reason, I don't think Pinky's got it spot on, but the only thing I can think of is our erstwhile chairman, who fancies himself as a bit of a talent spotter, has gone through the free transfers, seen a keeper who's played Champions League football for a couple of clubs, thought, oh, he's available for nothing, he'll do the job. Because we don't traditionally spend on keepers. I think Fabianski's the first one we've actually spent a decent wedge on in 15, 20 years.
I'm trying to think, actually, going back when we spent a fee on a goalkeeper, or a decent fee. Our number ones, Adrian was obviously a free. Jaskalainen came on a free at the end of a contract. Did we pay a fee for Rob Green? I think we probably did. Yeah, I mean, again, no, this is the case, isn't it, with most of the defence under the current regime? There isn't, with the obvious exception of Issa Diop. We've touched on the fullbacks. Fredericks are free. Cresswell costs 4 million. Masuaku 6 million. On the right side, we're relying on youngsters to fill in. Zabaleta, obviously, a free transfer. Balbuena, 4 million. Ogbonna, I think, was 7 or 8 million. As a club, and especially under, the Sullivan and Gold chairmanship, we just don't seem to spend on defenders, do we?
We don't seem to spend much on. No, not on defenders really. But then we don't seem to spend much on strikers. Yeah, I mean, we sort of hinted at the legendary Sully specials, and I can't remember who said this. Somebody on the forum said this, and I apologise for nicking it. It isn't, but it is a truism. Is the fact that all Sullivan's contacts seem to be with agents.
Yeah,
and so you're an agent, you will usually earn on a transfer. So, it's in your interest to shift people about. Whether or not it's good for either the selling or the buying club, or even for the player, in far too many cases is not your concern, because you're just going to get money on the deal being completed.
Yep.
That's not every agent. I'm sure some agents do have their players' interests at heart and would advise against a move. Have we heard what's happened to Ngakia, by the way? Has he gone anywhere yet? I've been a bit out of the loop last few days.
Well, no, that's a strange one. There doesn't seem to have been any developments. I think we were all kind of expecting to hear, that he jumped from West Ham and joined another club. But I'm certainly not aware.
I don't know who his agent is. It would be the first time that an agent's recommended a move that has done the player no good at all. History's littered with it. I'm trying to think how much we spent on. We didn't spend on goalkeepers, and this is a club that twice broke the world record for goalkeepers. Remember,
of course.
Yeah, Bobby Ferguson and obviously legendary Phil Parkes. So, I mean, it's something we've hit on in the modcast and on here, in that, we get this season out of the way and we need a root and branches look at how we do business. We need to come up with, this is what we want to do. This is how we want to play. This is the sort of system we want to do. These are the players we've got. We need to sign players in these positions to make that system work. And these are the players who can play in that system. So no signing strikers who work best in a partnership if you want to play up front. You sign some with a proven track record of being able to sort of hold the ball up front. Which, Haller, there's a good striker in there. You can see that.
Sure.
But all season, pretty much, he's been asked to, plough that lone furrow, and it's clearly not his role. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But we started Antonio alongside him in one game before Christmas, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And he scored and he played well, and everyone was saying, who'd have thought playing a partner with Haller would have paid dividends. Everyone, that's who. But this is something we need to do now. Lots of speculation about the ownership and change of ownership. I think we've got a bet on the presumption that at the moment they're not going anywhere in a hurry. That may or may not be true, but somebody needs to take the two owners to one side, somebody they'll listen to, and they'll say, look, this is how you need to organise your club. I know you think you've got, Mr. Sullivan, I know you think you've got great footballing knowledge and all that. here are a list of players that have been signed under your watch, and that proves otherwise. So this is how we need to set it up. Well,
Sure.
that needs to be done so that the manager. I still, delighted though I am for him, I still don't think David Moyes is the right manager for this club. But if you've got Moyes, he needs to turn around and he needs to be able to say, this is what I want for next season. And this is how we're going to do it. And we need to have that thing. I mean, some people have been putting it up about Brentford. Brentford, for crying out loud. Even they've got a sort of scientific approach to this sort of thing. And Brentford, we're talking Brentford. I've played on grounds bigger than Griffin Park. I mean,
But I mean,
it's
and they're a well-run club, and we need to be, instead of turning around and sort of putting out press releases saying, how well we're doing in the 10 years, whatever it is since we took over. We need to be looking at clubs that are well-run. We need to be admitting that we're not well-run at the moment. And those people aren't doing that. I mean, Lord knows everyone's telling them, but we've got this. We're not listening to supporters. What do they know? And well, we're the ones sitting this, watching us, hopefully getting away from relegation this season. But again, it's a relegation fight.
Yep, definitely lots to look at in the summer. I think with a review of exactly where we've gone wrong. We of course we're still not safe. We've had a fantastic victory tonight. We're still not over the line yet. We still need another 2 wins, possibly, and a point here or there, just to make sure. But it's been a very, very encouraging night for West Ham in all. Just touching on the goalkeepers there, Cockney Hammer says, "Come back, Alan McKnight. All is forgiven." I'm not sure it'll ever be forgiven for poor old McKnight, but there's another blast from the past, another goalkeeper who didn't cost us an awful lot, but did cost us an awful lot, if you see what I mean. Couple more questions. We're going to wrap up very soon because I've just taken a look at the time. It's 11:15, and I'm sure all you guys are looking forward to getting to bed and dreaming happy thoughts about this fantastic win. We touched on this earlier briefly, but Nick Fulbert posting on the YouTube chat says, what do you all think about Yarmolenko starting? Frustrating player, but he does seem to have that quality and big match moment in him that others lack. Pinky, is he best kept from the bench, or should Moyes think about actually starting him against Newcastle at the weekend?
I'd probably bring him off the bench, and you use him as a kind of an impact player at Newcastle. I'm not sure he'd be fit enough anyway to give us 90 minutes. So, I'd always be inclined to say, well, give him the latter part of a game rather than the early part in that context. But he's another one that can infuriate. Tonight he was excellent, really good. Other times we've seen him, we're going, what on earth are you doing? And again, there's a reason why he's at West Ham, because if he was consistently good all the time, it'd have been a lot more than 17 million quid, and he wouldn't have been at West Ham. He's played at other big clubs, not just West Ham. He's played at Dortmund, didn't he? So he's got some pedigree there, but I think he lacks that consistency, and therefore, for me, that tells me he's probably a bench player. But he's shown more hunger and desire tonight in his cameo than Felipe Anderson's shown for some considerable time. And the loser tonight in our squad is Anderson, because ultimately, it's sometimes in football your best games are the ones you don't play. Well, tonight for Anderson, that was a bad game for him to miss, because actually other players took their chance. And Anderson, would you start him? I don't think so. So
excellent, yeah, really. No, it's a really good point. Rio, would you go along with what Pinky's saying there, and would you keep Yarmolenko on the bench on Sunday?
Yeah, absolutely. He's a favourite of mine. My son will testify that I do bang on about him quite a lot. But he's missed far too much football recent times. If we're going to get him fit, we're going to get him fit for next season. His cameos off the bench at the moment, the bit of chaos that he brings every now and then, it's ideal just for coming on their last 20, 25 minutes.
I think it's a nice option to have, isn't it, as well? I mean, we've bemoaned the fact that Moyes doesn't have an awful lot of options on the bench known, but one option that he did have came on and changed the game tonight.
Yeah, and I'm a bit like Rio. I actually like Yarmolenko. We've seen far too little of him because of the nasty injuries he's had. But what I have seen of him, he generally has a smile on his face. He's somebody who genuinely enjoys playing football, and when you've got that, it's I don't know. It just helps you play a better game, I think, if you're actually enjoying what you're doing. Contrast that with Anderson, for example, who looks, whenever he's on the pitch, as if he'd rather be pretty much doing any other job than the one he's being paid to do. And consequently, the body language shows he's not happy, he's not doing well. I'm very pleased for him because you had a nasty injury. When you come back, you're never quite sure if you're going to be anywhere near what you were before. And that was a trademark goal. The goals are pretty much a carbon copy of just about every goal he's scored for us, really, isn't it?
Okay.
Just reflecting, one final thing before we go. Just reflecting on watching. They just showed that last goal again on what the program have got on. And I just suddenly thought, you know what? If you'd swapped the shirts over, that was a typical way for West Ham to concede and lose a game. You're on the attack. 3 seconds later, you're down. And, if somebody had changed the colour of the shirts on that, you wouldn't have been surprised in the past. And so it's just nice to see us do that to someone for a change.
Yes, certainly was. Certainly was. A couple of comments from the match thread before we wrap up here on the live stream. First, Daytona Hammer says, for me, the biggest positive is the lads rolling their sleeves up and cracking on with it after the VAR decision. Also, it's nice to see a definitive set piece in Bowen's corner to Souček. Nice to see Antonio do a full 90 minutes and his effective hold-up and layoff play. I even feel Wilshere did okay for what he played. A nice run-off pass to Antonio, almost nabbed us another goal. God, I hope we play like this against the Magpies. Oh, and also nice to see Moyes make the right call in games, which is something I think we've all agreed with here in the post-match chat. I didn't really see much from Fornells and would like to hear what others think of his performance in that role, off the ball movement and such. But interestingly, Hawkins Hammer, a little bit further down the page, says, just coming on here to say Fornells had a fantastic game. So it just goes to show that we all see things differently. Old Fart says, first half was the normal rubbish we've had to put up with all season. A bit unlucky with VAR again, but what happened second half? Antonio and Rice were immense. I just wish we had more careful playing ball out from the back. We just gave the ball away too often carelessly. But hey-ho, we won our usual surprise win. Suppose it'll all go wrong at Newcastle on Saturday. And that is the West Ham supporters lot, I guess. David's Cross says, just a thought. Chelsea didn't score a goal from open play. West Ham did twice. Very good point. We haven't discussed that. Status Kev tells us, I was starting to think VAR was going to relegate West Ham on its own. I think the injustice of the disallowed goal spurred us on in a way, though, which is something we discussed earlier. We seemed more up for the fight after that. A great effort by the lads. Antonio ran his socks off in fairness, and Yarmolenko's winner was a thing of such beauty, I nearly headbutted the ceiling. That's 3 points coupled with the teams below us getting heavily beaten, which has given us an almost 4-point cushion, which again comes back to something, Pinky, I think you said earlier about it being almost worth an extra point. Let's take the same effort into Sunday's game and put this thing to bed as soon as possible. And Uar Butler agrees with Hawkins Hammer and his thoughts on Fornells and said, yeah, I'd go along with that. It took him a while to get going and he isn't the strongest, but he does put a shift in and doesn't hide. I've got no stats to back it up, but he strikes me as a catalyst for some of our better moves. Someone who assists the assister, if that makes sense. Makes perfect sense to me, Mr. Butler. And it's something I think we touched on during the game as well, that his link-up play was exceptional at times. So Trevor says 2 really beautifully worked goals, referring to our open play goals when you look at it as well. And Hazel Den, talking about VAR, says, I honestly thought VAR was going to help us this season. I'm in the same boat as you there, my friend. I was similarly mistaken. But the way it's gone against me has left me dumbstruck, and it certainly has. Even from I think we can go back to the first game of the season, can't we? With the penalty against Manchester City, the retaken penalty. I think when Declan Rice, I think it was adjudged to have stepped into the area. Not that it would have mattered a great deal that day, but anyway, it's certainly something that's dogged us all season. El Pato, finally, from the forum tonight, says, that performance reminded me of a cup tie between a Premier League outfit and a lower league side. Not in quality, but the determination we showed. We really
That's
haven't
a bit
seen
harsh
that.
on Chelsea.
What was that? No, I'm sorry.
That's a bit harsh on Chelsea.
He adds, we really haven't seen that in what seems like an eternity. The dressing room must be buzzing, and the next game can't come soon enough. We are going to end tonight on looking ahead to that next game. Pinky, I shall start with you. And it also ties in with a comment from Super Evil Monkey on the chat in YouTube, where he asks Noble to stay out of the team. Pinky, how would you start your midfield for the Newcastle match, and who would you put in it?
I'd go with you maintain your winning team. So the lads that started tonight, you keep your shirt. You beat a decent Chelsea side, you keep the shirt. And if Noble's done a hamstring, he's not going to be fit for the weekend anyway. But even if he were to get miraculous fitness, I think if I was Moyes, I'd say, do you know what? You've got the captain of the club there. He's about to do 500 appearances for the club, and he's not getting in this team. And the reason he's not getting in this team is because you lot showed the strength of character to actually get the job done on Wednesday night. So you get another go tonight, lads. And if you win again today, you will start again next week. And just actually reward the people that did the job tonight. And so I'd go with the same starting lineup and just see where that takes us. And the final thing I'd say about the difference between tonight and Sunday's game, ultimately tonight, I think we had a little bit of help from Frank Lampard tonight. I think he was chasing the win. He got a little bit too carried away with it. And he may rue that come the end of the season, because actually a point tonight may have been a lot more valuable to him than 0 points, that's for sure. And that's not to say we were lucky. We weren't lucky. We took our chances, but he presented the chance by committing far too many men forward late in the game. And he's done that a number of times in his short managerial career. And that could cost Chelsea this season.
Yeah, a little bit of naivety, perhaps, on an inexperienced manager's part there. Just looking at the table, that point, Pinky, as you say, if Chelsea hadn't gone gung-ho in the final stages looking for that win, would have put them level on points with Leicester and 3 points clear of Manchester United, albeit with a slightly inferior goal difference. So, it could definitely cost them, in terms of qualifying for the Champions League. Rio, your thoughts on the team for Sunday? Do you agree with Pinky? Do you think it's the right thing to do as a manager to stick with a winning team? Or, for example, if Haller is fit and available again, do you bring him in?
No, I agree with Pinky completely. These lot have put a massive shift in tonight. They've done a really good job. We've finally turned the corner in terms of goals scored, creativity.
Mm-hmm.
As long as the fitness levels are there, stick with the same 11.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Caught me on the hop there. I was just taking a sip of the old drink. Noam, final word to you on the same subject. Rio and Pinky agree we should stick with the same team. Confidence breeds confidence and all that. You agree?
Totally agree. And I just leave you with the final thought from me, is that if we stay up this season, it will be thanks to 6 points we've got from Chelsea.
That's a very
interesting thought. Yeah, Yeah, without Chelsea, where would we be?
Agent Lampard come home, is it known?
Won't get that far, but but no, it's just something thought. Hang on, they're the only team we've done the double over this season.
Yep.
Okay, potentially we got Watford coming up, Norwich, and yeah, but of all the teams, yeah, and it just makes you scratch your head and you think, how come we didn't beat Spurs?
Yeah, but isn't that always the way? Isn't that the way? You know, every season we look back saying the same thing. Pinky said earlier in the stream that was it 20%? Pinky, you said. I mean, even my rudimentary math skills can work that one out. 20% of our points have come from Chelsea this season. As Noam says, it's going to be enough to keep us up. Sign him up. Maybe Frank will get sacked at the end of the season for not qualifying for the Champions League, and he'll be looking for a job. But who cares? We've got the points. That's the main thing.
Then turn around and say you missed out on the Champions League because you gave up 6 points to West Ham as well. Oh, how sweet would that be?
Yeah, but the key thing in linking it into the Newcastle game, I don't expect Steve Bruce to be as naive.
No, true. Yeah.
And you know, so whilst I think we should go to Newcastle to try and win the game, let's be realistic. A point away from home in this league is never a bad result. So, and that's not about respecting the point. That's just the pragmatism of saying you're playing away from home against an experienced manager. We can all have our different opinions on Steve Bruce, but he knows the game and he knows how to defend. And I don't think he'll be quite as open as Frank Lampard was tonight. That would be my take on it.
Absolutely spot on. Gentlemen, we are going to call it a day there. We started the day fearing that we would kick off tonight's match against Chelsea in the bottom three. Didn't quite transpire that way. We thought we all thought we were going to get beaten. That didn't work out either. We end the day 3 points clear of the relegation zone. Looking ahead to this weekend's game, instead of looking at it with some trepidation. It has been a typical West Ham game, I think you'd say. One of those where you don't expect anything, and yet somehow West Ham pull the rabbit out of the hat and pull off an absolutely fantastic win. It will go down, I think, as one of our best wins of the season. Probably has to, because we haven't actually won that many games. But it's been a really good night for West Ham. 4 goals that were allowed. One that Noam still should be, and we'd all argue that should be the case, but it doesn't matter now. 2 goals from open play, a wonderful set piece. I don't think we could have asked for much more, could we really? It's been a great night for West Ham. Thank you to everybody on the stream for joining us. Thank you for everyone who joined in on the match thread on the Knees Up Mother Brown forum. It just leaves me to thank my panel for their company and words of wisdom throughout the evening. Firstly to Bristol Hammer, who had to leave us a little bit earlier, unfortunately, but also to my trio of fellow moderators who have stayed the course with me. Noam, thank you very much for your time, my friend.
You're welcome. I'll call you in a second, Lou.
Rio, brilliant as usual. Thank you.
You're welcome, mate.
And Pinky, great stuff. Once again, thanks, buddy.
Cheers. Thank you.
And it just leaves me to say, West Ham have won. We hadn't seen a goal before tonight, let alone a win. Here we are celebrating 3 points. We've beaten Chelsea. Frank Lampard's got a face like, well, I don't know. He's disappointed. He's miserable. And we've taken 6 points off Chelsea this season. As Noam says, we could stop them qualifying for the Champions League as a result. It's been a great night. Thank you to everyone who's joined us on the chat, on the stream. And we will be back next Sunday, of course, for the trip to Newcastle. Newcastle did us a favour today by going to Bournemouth and smashing the Cherries. Let's hope they do us another one on Sunday. From me and everybody at Knees Up Mother Brown, thank you. Good night. I'll see you next weekend.
No.
Come on, you Irons.
Anyways.
No.